the street.
I think you're still on Unity as well, Liz.
Yeah, I am. Sorry. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I need to get my screen ready to share here. Hi, everybody in the chat. Hi, Masha. Haven't seen you for a while.
Masha. Yeah, it has been
Great
a minute.
to see you.
Oh, Masha, hi, yeah.
And Ken and Craig and Mike Kuipers and Tim Van
I'm
Ryn.
looking at your logo, Masha. It looks like the Sydney Opera House.
I would say
Except
so.
it's a bit yellow.
Hi, Ken Hayes.
Or perhaps it's a bunch of bananas.
No, it does look like the Sydney Opera House. I agree, Nick. But it looks like it's like on fire.
They're like
Well,
sunsets.
yeah. Well, that's probably a worthwhile thing to do, set fire to the Sydney Opera House.
You don't like it?
Oh, it was all right. Apparently, backstage is terrible because it wasn't very well designed.
Well, it's pretty old now. I mean, it's been around.
Yeah, but I mean, they built some really nice theatres a long time before they built the Sydney Opera House.
That's true.
And they didn't really give the artists a lot of room. So everyone's crammed in like sardines behind the stages.
They were going for the outside architectural.
Exactly, yes. And everyone hated it when they first built it, but now, of course, they love it.
Of course.
It's often the way, isn't it?
Often.
It's not that old. It was completed in 1973.
Well,
No,
50
It took
years.
quite a while to build it.
It's as old as
didn't
my house.
Yeah,
To be
that was
fair, my
about,
house has some issues.
that was about the
it?
age
Your
of
house
my
is built of wood.
Yes. Not very good
Hi, Micah.
lumber either. Hey, Micah.
Hello, Micah, Craig, Masha, Ken, and Tim, I think.
Oh, Mike. I was looking for Mike Kuipers, but I see
He's
him
here.
now.
He's here.
Mike Kuipers
Just
is
got to
here.
look for the flying spanner.
That's right.
Did Jeff just get super quiet for anybody else?
He's been quiet.
Okay.
Okay, I was going to ask about that.
It's the top of a sunflower, Masha.
Up the game.
Is it?
Oh, so it is.
yes,
Okay.
it
I
is.
see the pattern.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But it does look like the Sydney Opera House.
Well, yeah. I never knew that sunflowers could imitate the
Test,
Sydney
test,
Opera
test.
House.
1, 2, 3.
4, 5,
Super,
6.
super quiet still.
Yeah, I'd say you're
Okay.
still quiet.
I'll get yourself a new computer. That's what you need.
If it's going to be a minute, I'm going to go refill my mug.
Do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do it.
Oh, nice mug.
I know.
yeah.
It's a nice morning-ish show, so break out the...
Do you have the dog with you too, Camacho?
Yeah, the dog is floating around somewhere. I think the dog is still in recovery mode after
The
having
dog is floating.
two
What, did you
additional
try and drown it or
small
something?
children playing with her all day yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
She
She's probably
got
in
well
shock.
worn out. Yeah.
I can't believe it's almost December. I don't know. The last couple of months have gone by awfully fast.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I can't believe it's not butter. Yeah. You have that stuff over there too?
It's a lot worse.
Well,
than butter.
I'm pretty sure we do somewhere.
I'm sorry. I don't like margarine. I eat butter.
Well,
Yeah,
I
butter
went
or
through a
nothing.
phase of eating it because to lower my cholesterol.
Right.
But I have to say that I think butter is much better for you.
Yep,
I do.
it is.
I agree. You too.
Is my volume better now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Thank
Is it-
you.
Is it on par with everybody else, or do I still need to adjust?
Well, let's see
No, I
what
think
Micah
I
and
think
company
you're
say.
there. I can't hear myself, of course, but
Definitely you sound
No.
better, though. You sound. Who was that sigh
oh
from?
dear.
Was that
That was
Jeff?
me.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Let's all
Oh
do.
no, you.
I
Yeah,
didn't
is that
mean
a
for that
good
to
or
be so
bad
exaggerated.
sigh?
I was contemplating making a joke about Nick not being able to hear himself, but I decided not to.
Micah says you're still very low, but I don't hear it. Mike Kuiper says you're good.
Okay.
Mike Kuiper says you're good.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast.
That's lovely.
That's
really
great.
good. Rich
Perfect.
and fruity.
Okay.
Um,
No comment.
let's see. Need to lower that a little bit for my recording. Okay. Y'all have some nice conversation so I can check the waveforms.
Yes. Okay.
Waveform.
I'm conversing.
Rhubarb.
Yes. Hello.
Rhubarb.
Yes.
Mata.
I have to say that this conversation we're having is very fascinating.
It is. It's
Meine
probably the best
Luftkissen-Fahrzeug.
conversation of the show.
It's filled mit allen.
I'm sure I missed a lot of
words.
stuff just now. Yeah.
Waveform.
How are our waveforms, Jeff? Are they okay?
I think that's going to work.
Good.
And
Cool.
Where's
what?
my-
That stupid Stream Deck keeps switching profiles. I mean, it's looks great, and then I look down, and it's all my buttons are gone. I mean, they're
Right.
there, but they're not lit up anymore. Like what?
They're not
Why not
activated
buttons?
the way they should be.
Yeah. Let's
Mhm.
see. I don't have a Roger intro, so
Nope.
we'll just kind of
It
pretend.
sounds like you're trying to pleasure a woman. Yeah, and you're having problems because all the buttons have gone.
No.
Okay. Always
Nick's off
interesting
on his own
commentary
wavelength
from
there.
Captain Nick. Well, yeah, I can't say. And
No.
what I want to say, I'm not going to.
No,
Good man.
we'll just carry
Yeah.
on.
Carry on regardless.
Yeah. What is that?
That's Nick's
Oh,
son.
okay. Gotcha.
My son.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'll try to stay muted. I'll be better.
No, I thought
No,
that
no.
was Liz trying to talk to us, and I'm thinking, what is she
No.
saying? I don't understand. I didn't
Well-
have the window.
I do sound like that sometimes, but
Okay. Oh, I still have some. I got to set up my keynote, my keynote for the movies. And
Right.
the
While you're
videos.
doing that, I'm going to have a pee.
all
I'll
right.
be
Well, please
back
do.
in a little while. Yes.
All right.
Just don't take your
All right.
mic with you.
Please don't.
No.
Hey, buddy. It's like a telescope. Perfect. Or a microscope. Not sure.
Ooh.
Love it.
Hey, look, you're right there. See yourself right there. They're waving at you.
Hi.
You gonna
Hey.
wave back at them?
Hi.
There he
Yes.
is. Hi.
Hey.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's old news.
Is it? Well, yeah.
Well, we got a news item on it. So
Water. Okay.
On Thanksgiving?
yes, the
Oh.
very last one about
Oh
turkey.
yeah. Well, we need to queue up like an old TV episode clip for that
Good.
one too.
Got you
WKRP.
covered.
Yeah. Okay. I
figured
figured you
you
probably
would.
did already.
But Steffi, that's the one I said I could see you doing that. I can see you flying around and doing that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where?
That's exactly what I was thinking of when I was reading. You know, when I
Oh,
saw
all I
Yeah,
did
of
was read
course.
the headline. I was like, "Yep."
Tim Van Ram says, "Who else in the chat waved? I did."
I love it.
Who else? What?
In the chat waved when we were waving.
Oh. Okay.
You still sound like you got some chest congestion there, Jeffrey.
I do, but it's much, much better than it has been.
And you're able to sing tomorrow, you think?
Yeah, and I sang yesterday,
Oh yeah.
and I could do like baritone and bass
Oh.
ranges, but every time I tried to venture up into the tenor,
Yeah.
no
No go.
no go.
How was the turnout at 8:30 on Thanksgiving morning?
Not bad, not bad.
Cool. That's cool.
I was impressed.
It was nice that you just had a quick little trip over from the hotel.
Yeah. I don't know
Okay.
who kind of
Oh, shoot, I need
suggested
to
I
go do
do
one more
that.
thing, too.
That
Be right
was
back.
very smart.
Yes, of course.
Okay, let's see. We have me, Steph, Captain Nick, Nick Camacho, and Liz Piper. Okay.
Yep, it's a good turnout today.
And
Turn your head and cough, says Tim Van Ram.
I'll try to remember to use the hear me when I'm coughing.
Right.
Mm.
All right. Camacho's back. Now Steffi's gone. It's like herding cats
That's
around
okay.
here.
I'm still doing things.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
As I said, I tried to sort of warn you. I think you had to read.
No, you
between the
did. You
lines
did. No.
That I had to move rooms, and
No,
I
I
was a
just
little bit
didn't.
behind.
No, you're a little behind, Jeff. That's okay.
What is this? Why is this taking up the whole screen? That doesn't work. That's no good.
Oops.
That's no good at all. I can't do that. What the hell? Excuse me.
What's
Watch
it like
your
out
language,
on the West Coast there, Tim? Is the weather nice out in California? Are you having are those all those tropical rivers or whatever they're called over at the moment?
I was getting loads of comments from work about leaks all over our building, so I assume they were getting
No, really hit.
a fair amount of rain.
Great. Do you still have family out there, Nick?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad had 8 brothers and sisters.
Oh wow, that's a
And
big family.
let's see, so he lives in Kansas. One has passed away. One lives up in like the Salinas area, which is just south of San Francisco, and the other whatever it is, 6 or 5, I guess 2 have passed away. The remainder all live there in the San Luis Obispo area.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
loads of cousins and cousins' kids and that sort of thing.
Cool. Van Ram says he's 4 hours north of San Francisco, clear and cold.
4 hours north? What are you doing up there? Are you camping?
He ran away from home to join the circus.
Because Novato is not 4 hours north of San Francisco.
I thought actually on Facebook he's somewhere. He did post where he was.
Is he camping?
Yeah. He was by a river somewhere.
Like the Russian River or
In
something?
his van. Down by
Down by the river.
He's got a Class A RV.
Yeah. He'll tell us. Red Bluff. He's in Red Bluff. Oh my gosh, he's got a picture of the grill. It's all covered with frost. Wow. Near Lake Shasta.
Oh, okay. Is that near Mount Shasta as well? We used to camp there when I was a kid living in California.
Red Bluff along the Sacramento River. He posted some pretty pictures. That was yesterday.
Oh.
I keep track of him. I want to know where he is.
Glad somebody does.
Sorry, everybody. I don't know if Jeff mentioned, but he had to change hotel rooms this morning somewhat unexpectedly. So he's a little behind in all his setup. So that's why we've got a little delay.
Oh, good.
Now Jeff has disappeared, but
He's gone.
what you drinking, Jeffy? Tea? Coffee?
Me? I'm
Yeah.
drinking cider, actually.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Jeff's back. Camacho's gone.
Yeah, I had to. So I'm still in the process of, getting stuff on the new machine. And so to share something from my computer, you have to go in to system settings and restart Chrome and all this kind of stuff to get it to work. I'd forgotten about that.
Craig's asking about the painting behind me. It's of rocks adjacent to Georgian Bay up near Lake Huron, north of here. And it was painted by an artist that has a place up there. My father bought it from her. And I love it because it does look like the rocks up there. I've got another one too. But
That's really
this
cool.
was sort of her thing.
You're hearing that?
The what?
The video?
The
No.
audio?
No.
No.
You're not?
No.
Nope.
Tim says Mount Shasta is covered in snow about 40 miles away and beautiful.
Somehow
It
this
is a
morning
very
I have
picturesque volcanic.
Very nice. Love it, Craig. Ha ha ha.
received 86 emails, all of which appear to be
Oh.
junk for Black Friday
Well,
deals.
everybody comes out of the woodwork on Black Friday. If you've
I'm like, what?
contacted them in the last 10 years, they
Some
start-
companies have sent more than one email this morning
I
within
know.
like 2 hours. I'm like, no, I'm not
I know.
buying anything.
Get out
today.
there, Steph.
No.
It's
I
time
went
to
to
do,
the
Black
I went to
Friday
the
shopping.
gym,
it's time to do a lot of
and even that was
unsubscribing.
busy. The pool was filled with high school kids swimming because they didn't have class.
Okay, I'm going to check again to see if you can hear it.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hearing it.
That is good to know. And let me remove that. Yeah, I guess that's the first story. Anybody, have we had any updates on that at all?
No,
Has
I've
anybody-
updated it yesterday. The
Mhm.
Av Herald thing had been updated, but I have got nothing since then. I haven't
Okay.
had a chance to look really, but I could
Well,
have a
what have you
quick
been doing?
look.
Eating
I've been-
turkey?
No,
That's right,
not
we don't-
not me. We had our
That's
turkey
right.
months ago.
That's right. October, right?
Yeah, second Monday in October. We don't do any of this Thursday stuff.
Thursday's great because then it's like
Yeah,
there's
no.
no point in going to work on Friday. So
Yeah, I mean the poor fools that have to go in on Friday. Ooh,
right. Actually, there's a lot of people that
Alright.
work on Black Friday.
I know.
All of retail, all of.
I used to
service industry.
like working over Christmas and New Year's because kind of you could either get a lot of work done or you could goof off, one or the
Mhm.
other.
I like it because traffic goes to like nothing because schools are
Yeah.
out.
The Australians had an interesting attitude to Thursday because whenever they had one of those big formal dinners where all the officers get together and they, have a 5-course meal, wine with every course, etc., you do drink a lot. They always had it on a Thursday night so that you had your hangover on a Friday, which was a work day. They didn't want to have their hangovers on the weekend because that was their,
Productive
go off
day
and
at
have
home.
fun. Yes, go and have fun day. Go out boating or water skiing or whatever. So, but I used to hate it because my job generally was to allocate pilots to all the various missions to be flown. And Friday morning was a nightmare because there was a general rule that if you came in on Friday morning and you felt worse for wear, you had carte blanche to wipe your name off the program.
Yeah, none left, right?
Apparently,
And so
maybe.
I was always scrabbling around trying to find sober pilots to fill
Right.
these Friday morning formations. It was a damn nightmare.
Well, it's
I mean,
funny.
they
you
even went as far as to have a breathalyzer in an empty office so that
Wow.
if someone came in and they weren't sure of their blood alcohol level, they could go and have a private puff into the breathalyzer and check that they were legal.
actually a
to
very enlightened attitude, actually. And you
I-
might as well acknowledge that that's the case, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly the way it was where I worked in downtown Toronto. Thursday night was the go out after work night because most people commuted in from the suburbs, right? So they weren't going to go out on Friday probably. And I don't know, it's just Thursday night was the night.
Sorry, my neighbors
Interesting.
are apparently doing all their leaf blowing now.
Oh, good.
Because, well, it's leaf season until February here. So,
Oh, good Lord.
and it rained and was very windy yesterday, so a lot of leaves.
We've had a few storms come through, including Storm Bert, I think, whoever named that
Bert.
one.
Bert.
What is
and,
Ernie
uh,
next?
I was just going to say, where's Ernie?
Do you have Sesame Street in the UK? I don't know. Probably
Yeah.
not.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we do get that. Almost all the leaves came down, so it was a bit of a mess. But at least we're only sweeping up once.
Right.
I take it back. Apparently, my landscapers work on Black Friday, so there we
Oh,
go.
good lord!
That's what's happening.
Ah,
We're not celebrating.
It's my fault. It's not my neighbors. It's totally my landscape. At least they're taking care of all the leaves that came down
That's
yesterday.
good.
Jeez.
That's good. How's it going, Jeff?
I think I'm about ready
Sorry,
here.
that's so
Okay. Find your countdown.
All right. Well, actually, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, I
no,
should go
okay.
shut my back door so my dogs don't go out there. Hold on. Be right back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. We're not going to do that, right? Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm going to put that in and post.
Okay. So are you, what are you going to start with, the introductions of everyone? How do you do it?
I'm going to start with thank you, Radio Roger. He's an award-winning TV and radio
Right.
reporter.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. Just tell me when you're
You've
starting
never
so,
heard that one, I'm sure.
so I can make a note of the time.
Yeah.
Is your recorder on?
Um,
Thank you, Tim.
it is. But my Mix Pre, the one that I really want to have on, is not recording because I took the SD card out of it from the last show,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in another device that's in my
RV.
home on wheels, which is out in the parking lot.
Oh,
So-
I've got a spare
oh,
one,
well.
Jeff. You want me to lend it to you?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no
I mean, I
problem.
could, delay this even more and go out there and get it, but yeah,
Do what you got to do.
I'll
Yeah.
just hope that it works out with the way it's set up right now. Should be okay. And yeah, okay. So, y'all ready?
Ready?
Ready.
Righty.
Thank you, Radio Roger. He is an award-winning TV and radio reporter, currently at the #1 all-news station in the nation, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in New York City. Welcome to the Airline Pilot Guy Show. It's an aviation podcast covering the latest in aviation news and answering your great feedback. I'm Captain Jeff, a former U.S. Air Force pilot and retired Delta Airlines captain. And joining me today from her lakeside studio in South, Doctor, skydiver, marathon runner, IPA connoisseur, and commercial multi-engine instrument-rated backstabbing jumper dumper. It's Dr. Staff.
Hey, Captain Jeff. I am going to unmute myself momentarily to say hello and then remute because my landscapers are working on this day after Thanksgiving, and hopefully they will be finished shortly here around my studio window. But good
Maybe
to see
they
you.
can pick up some power equipment on some Black Friday deal. If they
Right,
get finished
right.
earlier enough today.
There you go. They can even make even more noise next time they come over.
The noisier stuff.
That's right.
All right. Well, great to see you. And also joining us from his studio,
In Hartford, Hereford, and Hampshire.
ex-professional photographer, former RAF, RAAF fighter pilot, retired Airbus A330, A340, captain for Virgin Atlantic Airways. It's Captain Nick.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Great to be back on the show. We're on show 641, and you'll find 641 on a number of military aircraft. For example, it's written on a Boeing F-15 Eagle of the Royal Saudi Air Force, a Dassault Mirage F1 and a Mirage 2000 of the French Air Force, a Cessna Dragonfly of the Chilean Air Force, and an F-16C Fighting Falcon of the Republic of Singapore Air Force.
Well, how
Wow.
about that?
That number gets
They
around,
all obviously appreciate our show.
obviously.
Better, anyway. And also from his home studio in the Air Capital, Low and slow pilot, A&P mechanic, old airplane enthusiast, and engineer in the aerospace and defense industry. It's Nick Macho Camacho.
Hey, Captain Jeff. I'm glad to be able to hop back in with you guys. It's been a little while.
Yeah, good to see you. Glad you could make it today. And can't wait to catch up. And also, finally, from her studio in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, retired financier and aviation enthusiast, spreadsheet master, and our producer. It's the lovely Liz Piper.
Hi, everybody. This is a little bit of an APG tradition. We've done a couple of other Black Friday shows. So,
Have we?
yeah, we have.
Okay, cool.
Have
I
a
had
good
no
show,
idea.
you guys.
Well, thanks,
Cheers,
Liz.
Liz. Bye.
All right. I guess we'll start off with some aviation news.
Stand by for news.
Okay, we're going to start off with this recent crash in Vilnius, Lithuania, and we have a video from VAS Aviation. Oh, what happened there? Let's try this again. There we go, VAS Aviation. Real Aviation Communications, they use liveatc.net audio. It's a Swift Air.
Good morning, control postman 1 Delta.
On approach.
Good morning, control postman 1 Delta.
Postman 1 Delta, good morning. Postman 1 Delta, descent altitude 4,000 feet, QNH 1020, LS approach runway 19, information uniform.
4,000 feet, QNH 1019er, and expecting ILS, runway 19er. Could you please confirm expecting ILS and not confirm to the ILS?
19er, Zulu.
Okay, Swift Air 737. I should put this on pause because I know I won't be able to read it quickly enough. Swift Air Boeing 737-400 performing flight BCS 18 Delta from Leipzig to Vilnius was on final approach when the aircraft crashed about 1 to 2 miles from the runway, impacting a building and burst into flames. One of the occupants received fatal injuries. The other 3 occupants were taken to a hospital. No more injuries were reported. Continuing the video. Postman 18 Delta is the call sign.
Control, could you please confirm if from 1 Delta, if we are authorized to the ILS after the...
He's in a
Postman
antsy.
1 Delta, descent altitude to 2,700 feet, QNH 1020, cleared ILS Zulu 19, report established.
Okay, 2,700 feet with QNH 1020, and we are clear for the ILS. We'll report established Postman 1 Delta, correction.
Golf 35 Golf QNH 1020, push and start approved, release point 6.
Uniform Tango number 7022, Vilnius approach, good morning, radar contact, expect LS approach, 19, information, Victor.
It's another aircraft.
118 Delta, 4 miles from touchdown, contact tower 11805.
11805, Postman 1 Delta.
Looks like the Postman 18 Delta is established on the final for 19.
Postman 18 Delta task.
Didn't get switched
118
over.
Delta, Vilnius approach.
Postman 18 Delta, wind 170 degrees, 15 knots, clear to land runway 19.
Just in case. And there's some video in the video showing the
118 Delta, clear to land, 19er.
737 coming in on final, and then disappears from the frame, and then we see a very large explosion.
Cancel your startup. Go back to your stand number. We just got a crash of aircraft on the final, so we will need some time.
Okay, go back to stand number.
059, Bravo informed, same for you. Please cancel your startup clearance. Expecting information in 30 minutes.
And with 59 Bravo informed, Roger, we have shut down the engine. Roger that. Due emergency station in Vilnius Airport, I would suggest you to climb to flight level 100.
Okay. Basically, that's the end of the information on the video. The Swift Air, I think, doing business for DHL Cargo, been flying all night long. This is very early in the morning, before sunrise, so it's very dark. And I have another, well, first of all, let's talk about the approach. He kind of seemed, I don't know about you guys, but it kind of seemed like he was a little antsy and nervous about being cleared for that ILS approach. And, you know, it's the end of a long evening of flying probably, or a long morning of flying. And they're probably eager to get to the hotel and get to sleep. But anyway, it just seemed like, you know, she'll give you the clearance for the ILS approaching in due time. I don't know why he was so worried about getting that clearance, but I just thought that was a little bit odd. He was traveling, or the flight was flying a little bit faster than normal, maybe 30 knots or so. Approach speeds overshot. The approach kind of brings you in kind of at a 90-degree intercept angle, so you have to, you know, make the turn at a certain point to take into account your radius, and your higher speeds are going to make your turn radius a little bit wider. And so that resulted in a slight overshoot of the localizer, and looks like they finally got it back onto the localizer established, but I think it may have been inside the final approach point before they actually got it tracking again on the localizer. Some autopilots require localizer capture before they're going to give commands or actually follow the glide slope. Others, it just depends on the model of the airplane and the model of the autopilot system. And it appears that at some point they got it on the glide slope, got it kind of situated, and then at the very last couple of seconds, it looks like it just dropped almost straight down. It just nosed down toward the ground, short of the runway. And I have another video I'd like to play that kind of really does a good job of kind of showing a side view of this, and you can really see a pretty profile view. It shows a very pronounced drop. And so let me, if you'll add that back to the stage, Liz, and then I will select this. Yeah, this is beautiful. It looks like a model to me, this security video, doesn't it? It almost doesn't look real.
It does, yeah.
But it is. Yeah, like a little Christmas village in Lithuania. So here we go. It's coming in from left to right, I believe. There it is. Coming in, normal glide path, and then all of a sudden, it actually looks like it pitched up pretty abruptly at the very end. I guess maybe right before they realized that they were about to hit the ground, and there wasn't enough pitch authority, I guess, to keep it from the trajectory from heading to the ground and hitting the ground short of the runway 19. You want to look at this one again, maybe? Okay. I think if I go like this and like that, nope. That doesn't work. Try this again. Okay.
Unknown caller.
Yeah. Not a good sight. All right. I guess we can read from the Aviation Herald. As I mentioned before, the 737-400 was operated on behalf of DHL. Let's see, the other thing that was interesting is that in the video, you have to know to listen for it. But when the approach controller switched them to the tower frequency, she told them to go to 119.
118.05.
118.205. But it sounded to me when I first heard it as 118.05, and that's what they heard as well. And that's the reason why Tower never heard from this flight on his frequency, is because she said it so rapidly, 118.205, instead of saying 118.205, which
205? That's
probably would
weird.
be the better
Is that
way
better?
to say it, so there's no misunderstanding. Yeah. Anyway, what is your take, everybody, on this?
Well, it's very hard to say at this stage for me, Jeff. It looks like they made a fairly dramatic change in their attitude approaching the ground. It looked also on that first video as if they had a fairly steep glide path. It might have just been the camera. It's very hard to tell sometimes, and it wasn't very good quality, but certainly the second one looks like they were trying to recover from a descent that might have been taking them short of the runway. But what caused that? Well, I have no idea at all. So I think we're going to have to wait for some more information about that. But, it's very hard sometimes to put two and two together. But I'm going to mention one thing that happened today, and only because it's topical. And there have been some suggestions that a possible cause of this accident, being a cargo aircraft, are that they had an issue with something they were carrying on the aircraft as part of their payload. And it was a speech by the head of our military intelligence for overseas, MI6, who in his speech was, and it's very rare to hear one of these guys using such strong language, but he said recent information indicates that Russia is conducting staggeringly reckless sabotage against Europe. And we know that we've had a number of explosions or items catching fire in warehouses around Europe, various cities. And we've had cargo aircraft with fires recently. We reported one on the last show. This might not be in any way connected with what the leader of our overseas military intelligence is saying. But on the other hand, it could very well be connected.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Although honestly, for me, it appears to be some kind of issue with the crew and the way they were flying the approach. But again, I have nothing really to base that on except for just a gut feeling. It almost feels to me like when they missed the proper frequency, which again, I'm not sure I think that that's such a big deal, because if you have your EFB available, you should have it available when you're flying an instrument approach. Even if it's visual conditions, you're using the instrument approach as a backup. You have all that information that's listed on your approach plate. So if you went to the wrong frequency for tower right away and you didn't get a response, then the first thing that I would do is look at my approach plate and see what the tower frequency is. Oh, it's 118.205, and then dial that up. But maybe both pilots in the command positions were, both heads down looking at the radio control head to dial in the proper tower frequency, because they hadn't they hadn't been given landing clearance yet, and so they were kind of consumed or distracted by that. Who knows? And perhaps at this point, whoever's pilot flying was distracted and not looking where he was supposed to be looking, and the airplane noses down. You also have the factor of I think the ceiling it's kind of low. It's like 700, 800 feet, I think. So maybe there was some kind of an illusion, visual illusion there when they popped out and saw the runway. I don't know. I'm not sure if you could, what is it called? The sodomographic, is that the way you pronounce that? Illusion, if that's...
Somatographic, yeah.
Hmm?
Somatographic, like...
Somatographic.
Yeah.
I don't know
Or
if that's
somatovisual.
a possible, factor in this. I don't know. I guess we're going to know more, when they get the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder to hear if there was some kind of commotion or some kind of distraction going on in the cockpit, whether or not the airplane was coupled to the autopilot was coupled to the instrument landing system, or if they were hand flying the airplane. All these things I think we're going to hopefully learn from the accident investigation. Go ahead, Steph.
Sorry, I had to come back and unmute myself. No, I was just going to say, I think there's a lot of potential interesting possibilities, but it's one of those ones where we just don't have that information. But just listening to the audio and some of the things going on, it seems unusual. So that's all.
Okay. Well, I guess until we hear more from the investigation, we can just follow up on it, and we'll move on with our next item in the news segment. A cargo jet, Amazon Boeing 767, had some kind of an issue with their slats, their leading edge slats, and let's see, they were operating on behalf of Amazon Prime. It was a 767-300 registration Charlie Golf Alpha Zulu India, performing flight 2387 on November 18th from Hamilton, Ontario to Vancouver, British Columbia. They declared a pan-pan prior to landing, reporting flap problems, and that they would land at a higher speed than normal, prompting emergency services to assume their standby locations or positions. So again, we do have a video. So why don't we go ahead and load that up, Liz, on the stage, please. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this will work. Another Bass Aviation video. And kind of describing what I just mentioned, the flight from Hamilton to Vancouver. And they're showing an aerial view
Cargo Jet 2387, turn left heading 170.
Of the Vancouver airport.
Just give us a moment, we'll call you back. Cargo Jet 2387, would you like to close the star via Venlo MCAM?
Negative, we have a flight control problem. We have to run a checklist. Radar vectors downwind here.
Cargo Jet 2387, roger, fly present heading.
Present heading, Cargo Jet 2387.
2387, I'd like to keep you close to the airport if possible. Turn left heading 170, and I'll continue to vector you as long as you need.
Left heading 170, full Cargo Jet 2387, thanks.
And Cargo Jet 2387, would you like a turn to final or further vectors for delay?
Further vectors for Cargo Jet 2387.
Cargo Jet 2387, roger, and do you need me to roll the trucks for you, or are you declaring emergency?
No, just Pan Pan. We have a leading edge slide of symmetry running the checklist. Yeah, we can bring out the fire truck just for precaution.
Roger. And cargo jet 2387, say again the nature of the emergency. I missed it there the last time.
Just the flight control problem. We have a flat symmetry.
I think they're not quite sure what that means. So let's continue. Ah, darn it. I need to take a course on how to play video in Keynote. Let me see if I can get back to where we were. Yeah, I know. We've already done that part. Okay. Okay, so he said, what do you have? Some kind of a flap problem? And he says a flight control problem, a leading edge slat asymmetry. So let's see.
Hey, firm. Just leading edge flat symmetry. Coming in with a slightly higher airspeed.
Okay, higher speed.
Cargo 2387, how many people on board and how many pounds of fuel?
We've got 3 board, and at this time we've got 23,000 pounds of fuel.
Roger. Any dangerous cargo?
None.
Roger. Cargo 2387, is it all the flaps you're having an issue with or just a particular?
It's the slats.
It's just the leading edge flaps.
Leading edge flaps, Roger.
They still don't know what that
Cargo
means.
jet 2387, contact Vancouver Tower 119, decimal 55.
Tower 11955, Cockpit 237, thanks for the Delta.
You're welcome.
Under Vancouver Tower, good morning, it's Cockpit 2387 Heavy, start time. We're established on the ILS 08 left.
Jet 2387 Heavy, Vancouver Tower, wind 050 at 7, clear to land, runway 085.
Clear to land 08 left, Cockpit 238.
Red 14 plus 1 is main apron. We're just on Juliet Alpha heading towards our standby location, which will be Quebec. We'll enter in at whatever location reasonable, but requesting Quebec. Red 14 plus 1.
Red 14 plus 1 ground understood, proceed by Tango Mike Quebec.
Tango, Mike, Quebec. Red 14 plus 1.
And Red 14 plus 1. That traffic is 4 miles final, but you're going to be coming in fast, flat.
Roger that. Flap issue. Red 14 plus 1.
Good morning, Red 9 plus 3.
Red 9, please ground.
Red 9 plus 3 on the west side, just to let you know, Red 9 will be the lead vehicle.
Red 9 ground understood, traffic down 2.5 miles final. Again, these flat issues are going to be coming in quite quick.
Copy that. Thank you for Red 9 plus 3.
Showing an airport diagram of the runway layout at Vancouver. You might wonder why they are setting them up for the north runway, which is 9,941 feet long, instead of the southern parallel, which is 12,188 feet long. But I believe that Victor puts in his video the explanation that that runway is closed for maintenance at this time. So the only runway that is available is the 9,941 foot runway to the north. It says 8 right's about 1,500 feet longer. He's going to do exactly what I just explained here. They're showing the different lengths of the runways, landing distance available, but have been closed 3 hours earlier due to maintenance.
22 Tower caution, jet last for Mike 10, proceed on to runway 08 left. Proceeding Mike 10 on to runway 08 left, stop.
Stop on the runway, Cargo Jet, stop on the runway.
Jet 2387 understood.
Runway,
Red 14 plus 1, okay, so you're just exiting the runway now, proceed on to runway 08 left. Red 9 plus 3 ground, the aircraft has vacated the runway at the far end, proceed Mike 2 on to runway 08 left.
Mike 2 on to 08 left, Red 9 plus 3. Mayday, Cargo Jet 2397, question.
Yeah, they know.
Jet 2387, Heavy Tower, got all the red vehicles are coming onto the runway. Do you need any, are you guys vacating the aircraft?
ground. This is Red 5 at the runway. They're off the end of the runway. We're just trying to make access right now.
Red 5, yeah, I understood they're off the end of the runway. Just wondering if you do have access from where you are right now.
9+3, can we go this street with the pilots?
Red 9+3, affirmative. Just stand by. I'll try to see if they're still in the aircraft. Sorry, that 2387, have you guys evacuated the aircraft?
Negative, we're still in the aircraft.
Sorry, that 2387. Okay, go to the street frequency now, 122.675. The red vehicles will try to find a path to you. It's a little difficult, I think, with the berm there, but they're going to try to find a path to you as soon as possible. Viva 009 heavy ground. Third tower.
Okay, so they're kind of coordinating for other flights that are trying to operate, take off out of there, and letting them know that it could be quite a delay as they work this runway excursion by the cargo jet 767-300. Yeah, you can remove the video, Liz. Thanks. Okay, there was some discussion in some of the materials that these are older 767s that had been in storage and actually been operated by, I think, some other airlines as well. I don't remember exactly who at this point. Yeah, I wish that we had Miami Rick with us here because he's kind of the expert on 767s and 777s and all that kind of stuff. He might be able to enlighten us a little bit more about what happens when you have some kind of a flight control problem with the flap asymmetry and why you would fly at a faster airspeed, etc., and what kind of a configuration you'd have. Probably fewer flaps than normal, and hence the higher airspeed to ensure controllability. Again, this might be another one of these where we have to kind of look for the investigation reports and the flight data recorder to see exactly, what happened. Did the ground spoilers activate when they were supposed to? Did the braking system operate normally? Did the reverse thrust system work normally? Does anybody have any ideas here on the crew about this?
No, those all sound like very reasonable.
It's all Boeing stuff.
Jeez.
Okay, well, that's the best way. Of course, not a MAX.
Yeah.
Wait,
one thing
I could kind of say it's a 767 MAX because it's the 300 model, right? Okay, go ahead, Camacho.
Well, I was just going to say the one thing that I was curious about, it doesn't say anything about how much fuel they had or their airplane situation, but if you go look at the METARs, the bolded METARs, which I assume are the METARs at the time of the incident or around the time of the incident, says there was rain and snow. So I would think if you have an issue where you're landing faster, you're already going to eat up lots of runway, and then you don't have the largest runway available. I'd just be curious to know why they, or if they considered going somewhere else, or if it was just such a widespread.
They said they had 23,000 pounds of fuel on board.
When they initially declared the pan, they did talk about the fuel. I don't know what that equates to in the 767 world, how, if they have enough to go. And I'm not really too familiar with the various airports that are available in the Vancouver area.
Right.
If there's like a
Seattle
base nearby
airports
with a really super long runway or something. Pardon me, Liz? Abbotsford? Yeah, I'm not sure what kind of runway situation they have at airports in the area. But yeah, that's a good point, Camacho. I wonder if they considered perhaps going, because anytime anything happens like this, where you're going to have a longer landing and landing rollout and stopping distance is critical. The first thing that we brief in our abnormal briefing is, ask for the longest runway available, or that's what we're going to plan to do. If we have to come back, if we're taking off, before we even take off, we have this briefing, and they said, if we have any issues, we'll request the longest runway, blah, 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 just kind of a standard thing. But in this case, at first I was thinking, well, why are they not using the longest runway? But then, of course, the NOTAM of the runway being closed for maintenance. Again, was it a possibility that they could have requested that they clear whatever maintenance is happening on the runway to be able to use that runway? I'm not sure if that's a consideration. Okay, Abbotsford, Liz is telling us 9,600-foot runway, so that is actually
already shorter
than
than the one they were using.
They had available there. And 9,000, what did we say, 700 something or 9,000?
9,940. So basically 10,000 feet. That's a pretty long runway.
It's actually a pretty decent runway. So, I think that they probably had all the performance data available to them that to assure them that whatever their situation was, even at the higher speeds, that they were going to be able to stop the airplane, at least the calculated data probably. Now, how did they execute the touchdown? Did they touch down long? Did they balloon? Did they, because you're at a higher speed and probably less drag than you're normally used to, the airplane's going to behave a little bit differently. So that's kind of a consideration there. Maybe that it just could have been operator error, or perhaps there were other systems that malfunctioned as well.
Well, I was going to say, to your point, if that slat is I assume that slat's a hydraulically actuated surface, or something like that. So,
I think it is.
Would make you wonder if the slat, if it was like a failure with the slat actuator, or if it was a failure with that hydraulic system, and maybe they didn't have, like you said, spoilers on that side, or something happened where they had a larger failure than just that slat.
Yeah, more than just one thing going on.
Yeah.
It might be useful just for those who aren't quite as familiar as we are to explain what asymmetric slats is.
Oh, yeah.
All the flaps on the trailing edge of the wing, the back of the wing, and the slats, which are sometimes called flaps, on the front of the wing, as they deploy, there are sensors which compare the angle of deployment from the left wing to the right wing. And if one of those sensors realizes that these control surfaces are coming out at a different rate or reaching a different angle, to prevent there being asymmetric lift on the wing, which can be quite a severe emergency, they will immediately snap off the movement either by a mechanical brake or by stopping the hydraulic power to the devices, so the situation doesn't get any worse. Because if you've got one wing with lots of lift devices and the other wing without any, you can obviously realize that there's going to be a major control problem. And then it will usually lock them out for the rest of the flight. I don't know if the Boeing logic is the same as Airbus, but having got them in that position, I would expect so. It's a pretty basic form of protection for the crew. The flaps, presumably they could get those down separately, so they would have had flaps. And I'm looking at the speeds, and of course this is from ADS-B, but probably not incredibly accurate, but they're coming over the end of the runway would probably be about 20 knots faster than normal. And that doesn't seem a lot, but actually carrying an extra 20 knots is quite a significant amount of speed. But that I wouldn't have thought would have been a problem on 10,000-foot runway. I think you've covered most of the things they could do, Jeff, to what makes this a difficult landing. The speed over the ground is much faster, and they are not used to that. The aircraft's probably a slightly unusual attitude because of the position of the slats and flaps. And again, they may not be able to get their spoilers out promptly and engage the thrust reversers as promptly as they like. But I'm just looking at the rate of deceleration down the runway. They're sort of at the touchdown point doing 167 knots, but halfway down the runway, towards the end. In fact, 2/3 from that point onwards, they're still at 134 knots with only a few thousand feet of runway left. They reach the far end of the runway doing 120 knots still. There's negligible deceleration. So I think there's been a major issue with the braking system and or the thrust reversers, because that's like the aircraft's freewheeling down the runway. Without the engines powering it, you might just lose that speed just for the fact that you've rolled along the ground for 2 miles. And I'm just amazed that there isn't a firmer level of braking. Over the end of the runway, they leave the paved surface doing 109 knots. That's horrible.
That's terrifying,
Absolutely
actually.
horrible.
Not good.
Yeah, I'm surprised the aeroplane hasn't broken up. They're lucky that the overshoot area there was reasonably flat, I think. Obviously, the nose wheel's given way, which is, quite common in these circumstances. But I'm with you. I think this should have been a perfectly normal emergency landing, if you can have such a thing, unless there was something that they didn't realize was affecting their main systems. And braking systems usually have 2 hydraulic systems feeding them. So if the main hydraulic system has failed, there's a backup. And if that has failed, they've got accumulators that can provide air pressure to the brakes instead. So there are several different ways. And if they had known about the problem, I have no doubt they'd have had the thrust reversers in just as soon as they could. It looks to me like something happened during the landing rollout. But you will find out because the aircraft's in good condition, I guess, and they'll be able to investigate that. The crew were thankfully unhurt.
You do make a very important point in that kinetic energy equals like 1/2 m mass times velocity squared. So the velocity variable in that formula for kinetic energy is an exponential one. So you think 20 knots higher speed than normal, no big deal. Yeah, except for when you are, multiplying it by itself.
So, So I was just doing that math. And so if they landed 20 knots faster, they were landing about 10% faster than they normally do. But that equates to 23% more kinetic energy. So it's a lot more energy compared to how much speed they're carrying.
Yep.
Steve Thorpe in our live audience says no EMAS on any runway at Vancouver. EMAS. In this case, I'm not so sure that it would have. It looks like it, as Captain Nick pointed out in the video and also in the images, that the airplane is still relatively intact. It may have helped a little bit in this case, but in general, I think it's very unusual to see what is it? An engineered what does the EMAS stand
Material
for?
arresting system, I think.
Material arresting system, basically that just kind of collapses under the weight of the gear when it hits that area. You normally see them in much smaller or shorter runways.
Or where there's so here there's a pretty long overrun, right? It looks like a flat grassy area. If you've got a road or buildings on the other side, you're going to want a lake, some body of water.
Or like Charleston, West Virginia, on top of a mountain.
Yeah, or like pits with spikes in, if that sort of thing. Yeah.
I think I did read in the comments, I'm not sure there were comments for the video or comments for the Aviation Herald article, that somebody did say that they were able to pull this out of the mud, and it turns out that the nose gear actually didn't collapse. It just kind of disappeared into the mud. It was still it was still intact. Yeah. So,
what I thought, the other thing I thought was interesting is the different verbiage that their controllers were using. Instead of, they were calling the emergency vehicles red vehicles, which we don't do down here.
I've written that down as well, Nick.
And then he said, when he said the airplane has vacated the runway, continue down the runway, that struck me, because if I heard someone say the airplane has vacated the runway, I would assume that everything's fine, and they
On a
turned off the
prepared
runway.
surface. Yeah.
And I think the controller's intent there was to say, like, they went off the runway. You need to go to the airplane. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I've no doubt that calling them red vehicles is a local nickname for them, which no one who doesn't fly into Vancouver regularly and ask for the emergency vehicles is going to recognize. Now, it was reasonably obvious to us that they were referring to all the vehicles painted red. So I think we worked that out. But if you're on board the aircraft trying to deal with that, it's not a phrase that's going to immediately give you the impression that the emergency vehicles, all those lovely men that are going to risk their lives to get you out of your wrecked airplane.
And a lot of them in the
coming
United
to help.
States aren't even red.
No, are they not?
They're yellow.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not so
Oh, I
sure.
thought
Though,
only French ones
we'll
were
have to go
yellow.
back to the video. I'm not so sure that they were actually on the same frequency as the aircraft. I think that may have been
No,
a
but the
separate
controller
ticket,
was
'cause at
telling the
very
aircraft
end-
that the red vehicles were following them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yes.
So they used that term to the
Yeah.
flight. Okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind then. Okay. We're getting some guidance from our producer, Liz, about. I think there were a couple of one or two more videos that I think might be interesting discussion. Yeah. Oh, okay. Just the ones that are the. Yeah. Okay, I agree with you. Okay, so which one would you suggest that we skip to now then? Mm-hmm. Well, I would really love to do H. I think that this might be an interesting discussion for the crew regarding
yes. Yes.
radio.
Just reading the title, I can see where this is going to generate some commentary.
So yeah, let's do item H. Let me get the video queued up for that, because I thought this is quite interesting, and I kind of learned something in doing a little bit of research for this.
Too late now, mate. You're retired.
Well, I know it's not going to do anybody any good. Well, it might actually. Somebody listening, it might do some good.
Very true.
To hear our discussion. But as for me operating an airplane, yeah, you're right. Probably not going to mean much. Okay, Liz, if you'll put that on the stage, I'll attempt to get this to play. And this is from, let's see. It's hard for me to read that again. You can see ATC. Is that right? Okay, let's find out what happens if I play this. Oh, there it is. It's readable, but I just didn't have it available for me to read. Okay, let me put this on pause. The place is New York John F. Kennedy International Airport, one of our favorites. And the guy that does the video that you can see ATC, is that right? Is that what we're calling it? Okay. Description. Today we're going to show you 3 situations where controllers decided to teach the pilots who didn't say their position or intentions during initial radio contact. Okay, so let's continue with this. Hit play, and we should start hearing something soon.
Speed 1166, when you got to golf, cars for left, taxi in the ramp.
Cars for left at golf, taxi into the ramp, that's 1166.
We got 4387, Foxtrot, course for left, right, Bravo to the ramp, monitor ground.
Alright, cross 4 left, Foxtrot, right onto Bravo, monitor ground, return 4387.
Green flight 9, Hotel Romeo Heavy, Foxtrot, Bravo, hold short of runway 4 left.
Foxtrot, Bravo, hold short 04 left, green flight 9, Hotel Romeo Heavy.
Speed back
15 Kilo Heavy, are you receiving me?
Loud and clear.
Roger, didn't get a proper response.
Haven't gotten one either.
Oh.
Just keep saying hello. How are you?
No, we checked it. Speedbird 15 Kilo Heavy, ILS 041.
This is the first time you're giving this information. Every other time was hello, sir, or as well the ma'am. Speedbird 15 Kilo Heavy, runway 4 right, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 4 right, Speedbird 15 Kilo Heavy.
Wow. Okay, that was the first part of this three-part. That was on the 14th of November, I think, and part 2 is the 13th of November. Different scenario, I believe.
Can you tell Nippon Cargo 159 Heavy? Now we are on Sierra, we can taxi with Delta, correction Romeo.
Nippon Cargo 159 Heavy, roger, give way to the American undertow from left to right, then proceed right on Bravo and hold short of Kilo for runway 4 left.
Nippon Cargo 159, after American, proceed right turn Romeo, then left turn Bravo, and hold short of Kilo.
Not left on Bravo, right on Bravo, hold short of Kilo.
Sorry, right turn Bravo, confirm Bravo between Mike and, we cannot use Bravo between Mike and Lima.
Taxi right on Bravo, hold short of November.
Nippon Cargo 159, right turn Bravo, hold short of November.
Tower, good morning, LZ01.
Good morning.
Tower Triple 72, ILS 4 left.
It's almost like they have some kind of a memo in the...
Yeah.
They've been
all had a
discussing this
meeting,
amongst themselves. Yeah.
and they're all fed up with people not giving the right introductory call.
And
So
I'm
they're
wondering if
just
it also
gonna-
has something to do with the fact that all these podcasts out there and people talking about Kennedy approach, Tricon and everything else about how they're, they're just so sourpussed and, all the and derogatory and everything else. Maybe they're just getting fed up with it. And they go, okay, we're going to make sure we do the communications exactly right. I don't know. But is it exactly right? We're going to discuss this after we hear a little bit more.
Triple 72, Canadian Tower, wind 03015, runway 4 left, clear to land.
4 left, clear to land, Triple 72.
Canadian Tower, Nippon Cargo 159.
We're still figuring this out.
Or wingspan. Wingspan is very wide. So this time, request left turn on Alpha, please.
Nippon Cargo, I have a plan. Taxi right on Bravo, hold short of November. It's the third time telling you those instructions.
It's a secret plan.
Nippon Cargo 159, Roger, right turn Bravo, hold short November.
1 Heavy, how can I help you? Just check
Okay, this is back out on approach.
in with your call sign. Are you on an approach? How can I help you?
Establish localized right, LZ01.
Next time say that. Allow 1 Heavy, Canadian Tower, wind 03016, runway 4 right, clear to land.
Runway 4 right, clear to land, LZ01, sorry.
Canadian Tower, Nippon Cargo 159 now.
Nippon Cargo.
A large wingspan.
Nippon Cargo 159 now. Sorry, this time taxi by Romeo.
Yeah?
Nippon Cargo 159 Heavy. It's your discretion. You could take Sierra, you could take Romeo, right on Bravo, hold short of November. 4th time issuing you the instructions.
Nippon Cargo 159 now. Thank you very much. Sierra or Romeo, and anyway, right turn Bravo and hold short November.
Okay, they show them depicting them moving. I forgot what the third part was, but I think we're getting the gist of what the Kennedy controllers are. They're trying to make a point that they want you to, on initial contact, state your call sign and where, your position, basically what you're doing, if you're on the ILS approach or getting vectors for the ILS approach or whatever. They want you to state that. And I'm thinking, now I always did that myself, but I'm thinking to myself, is that really required of me? to make that kind of a statement. So I thought, let me check the AIM and oh shoot, I closed that window. The Airman's Information Manual. I also looked up the Controller Handbook 7110.
Wow.
65,
I think. And what I found was interesting. They said that on initial contact on the ground, you state your call sign and your position, as the Al Nippon cargo folks did. They did that correctly. They just were having issues with the taxi instructions and the wingspan, and that there was some kind of a restriction further down, heading out to the runway, that apparently this New York City Kennedy controller knew was a restriction, but I guess that wasn't communicated to the Al Nippon cargo pilots. They were still concerned about that. But getting back to the situation when you're checking in the air, I thought, well, I don't see nothing that I could find. Now, maybe somebody out there is smarter than I am or knows a better place to look for it. But I did not see anything that said that you must state where your position is, that you're on the... No, if you're up in cruise altitudes or intermediate altitudes and you check in, you always state your flight level or your altitude. And if you're on a heading, you're supposed to state that as well. But I didn't see anything for the TRACON kind of situation when you're at lower altitudes being vectored for an approach. So when you initially contact them, the way that the British Airways lady checked in and the El Al flight, seems to me, from what I could tell in the regs, they did it properly. But apparently, Kennedy's got a stick up there, you know what, and they've decided that this is the way it's going to be here. If you're going to operate here, you need to tell us that you're on the ILS-4 right or whatever it is. I don't know. And I also did look up ICAO procedures as well. And again, I couldn't find anywhere that stated that you have to state your position once you made that initial call. Basically, you just call, you establish, your presence on the radio with your call sign. And I guess they're assuming that because they're looking at all these radar displays and they have everything tagged up with your call sign on it, that they know that that's where you are. But I don't know. Discussion.
So just thinking about what I normally hear, so I listen to approach frequency, sometimes departure, but generally approach frequency all day long when I'm flying. So I'm listening to folks checking on after they've been handed off from center. And it's always the approach that they're on, the landing direction, and speed, altitude, whatever they've been given or descend via. But I don't ever hear anyone just check on with call sign, or that's much less common for someone to do, for a pilot to do, than give all the information of where they are and what they're doing. Just seems like a confirmation of what they were given from the previous controller and make sure that's still what's expected.
I think in this case, I could be wrong about this, but the couple of examples that we saw in the video,
they were all tower
the final controller.
Correct.
Probably not the controller that they initially contacted, and the requirement is you state your call sign and altitude you're passing, altitude you're cleared to, and information Romeo or whatever the information, all that is part of the initial contact call. But if you're going from that controller to the final controller, obviously you're not going to state what information you have. And
no, you're not going to state all of that. But I'm just thinking, to go a little bit further from that. Generally, then there's additional instruction with the assigned runway. Usually a lot of discussion regarding changing runways. That never happens here in Charlotte. Everyone
nor Atlanta.
Yep. And then if it's a nice day, cleared for the visual. I never fly on not nice days, so it's almost always that. And then instructions to switch to tower either now or at some other point. And then I don't hear the next check on, so I don't know if they're communicating that they're cleared for the visual for the runway or whatever it is.
But is it required?
Is it required? Is it required?
That's the question for me.
Yeah.
Because I always did that. Because I always thought the more information that I could state, as long as I wasn't dragging it out for half an hour, that, ILS 8 left, in case I was on the wrong frequency or I was going to the wrong runway, somebody would go, 8 left.
They would
No,
catch
you're
it.
supposed to be on 9 right. That kind of thing. I always thought that was kind of an extra safety margin for me to state these things. And honestly, I have to admit, when other people didn't do it the way that I did it, I kind of was looking down my nose at them going, "Oh, that's not right." But
So
I'm
here's
wondering now,
another
maybe-
consideration,
maybe,
to
that
your
wasn't
point there, and having visited the local ATC facilities here, you're not talking, even though they're co-located, you're not talking to people who are sitting next to each other. They're actually in different places entirely. So I think that is that double check to make sure, hey, I got the runway assignment correct. I'm on the, I'm just doing everything that was, all the communication has happened properly, and we're doing everything that's supposed to happen.
On first contact, I don't see any problem with establishing contact.
Right.
New York Tower, this is Virgin 123. Virgin 123, go ahead. Now you're speaking to the New York Tower and you've established contact. And now you say, I'm established to runway blah, blah, the ILS for blah, blah, or whatever your approach you're doing, etc. I'm sure at JFK they go, oh, we're way too busy to make that into 2 transmissions. We'd much prefer you to do it in your first transmission. But if you've got a long piece to say and you suddenly realize you're on the wrong frequency, you go, oh God, I'm going to say it all over again now to something. Exactly. And the other thing I'll say is if you're going to be all succubus and go hello
You feel like a little
you're
teenager.
It could be some kid on the ground with a walkie-talkie who's trying to be funny. It might be on the wrong frequency, and it could be someone going, "Oh, who are you? Hello." So I think that's entirely unprofessional and childish. On the other hand, she could easily have said, "Hello, this is New York, blah blah. Could you check in with your intentions next time, or your information?"
Right. That's a better way to do that instruction.
Yeah, exactly. Which I know the captain did when he came on the radio after his first officer had a go and had been treated so derisively. He came on and said what Jeff would have said and what I would have said. This is our call sign and this is the approach we're on. And that they seemed perfectly happy. And then to go into some other childish explanation, I really think Captain should have just shut up. He shouldn't have added to it because that just makes life more complicated. But on the other hand, I think she started it.
I agree with you. If that's what you want us to do when we, operate in and out of Kennedy, then, maybe that should be published somewhere.
Put it in the ATIS.
ATIS. Yeah.
No, perhaps it is.
Like what they say for, repeat call signs and runway crossing instructions, blah, 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 read back.
Yeah.
That could be something on there. They could just add more and more to that ATIS.
Yes, indeed.
Captain.
And then you'll really know if people have the information or not.
Then it'll be as long as the NOTAM page.
Wasn't that one of your first old curmudgeon audio contributions to the APG? I think it was Kennedy ATIS. I'm pretty sure it was maybe the second one that you sent. And you
numerous
made
cranes.
So, I don't know. As I said, it kind of, when I heard BA and LL check in without stating whatever approach or runway they were going to, I'm thinking, well, that was wrong. And then, as I said, I did the research and found out, oh, maybe you're wrong, Jeff. Maybe that is not a requirement. So I don't know. It'd be nice to hear anybody listening who is an air traffic controller. Maybe they could enlighten us. Maybe there's
and especially maybe from other countries, because I know that those were 2 non-domestic flights coming in, and
right.
With the electronic strips they pass between controllers, etc., etc.
It's all there.
I would be very surprised if they couldn't work out what this bloke is doing, where he is and what he's doing, as well as looking at their radar, and why they need an additional verbal confirmation. I don't know, but there you go.
Well, and to your point, Nick, about shortening it into one transmission, they turned it into like 8 transmissions, so it doesn't seem like they were in that much of a crunch for time or for radio space or whatever. They're trying to save an extra 5 seconds here, and they turned it into a 1 minute or whatever situation. So
back and forth.
They just had their they had their undergarments all wadded up very tightly. Yeah.
Oh, how about the poor Japanese chap? Felt sorry for him because there obviously was a secret plan, but the controller wasn't going to make his situation better by explaining what he was going to do. Because I bet you the pilots are looking at the wingspan restrictions on various taxiways and going, I wonder if this bloke realizes, and we want to know which taxiway he's going to put us onto, so that we can make sure we don't end up having to get the tugs out and push us off somewhere where we shouldn't have gone. And so I have a lot of sympathy for the Japanese crew, because I think they were just being good, careful pilots to make sure they didn't end up being sent down the wrong place, which has happened to me at JFK in the 340, which has a very poor turning circle, and got asked to do go to various taxiways that I wasn't allowed to.
It would have been so simple for either the controller to realize, hey, they're worried about this. Maybe I should just give a little bit of an explanation of my plan. Or I think they could have even been a little more assertive and said, yes, we understand what you're asking us to do. Can you tell us where we go from there? Because there are certain places we can't go, and we just need to confirm, because it looks like you're trying to send us, from our vantage point, it looks like you're trying to send us someplace. And if we know exactly what you're thinking, that would be nice.
It was almost as if the controller was kind of, upset that these people didn't think that he knew that there was a restriction somewhere down route, whatever. It was like, how dare you question my knowledge and my authority?
I'm sorry, this is a weird reference, but if you've ever watched West Wing, this reminds me of Josh telling the press corps that the president has a secret plan to reduce inflation, and this is exactly so. The controller has a secret plan to get these guys where they want, but they want to know what the secret plan is, please, before.
You have the secret, though. You can't tell you.
Yeah.
Yes. LL. No, not LL. What was the Nippon?
Old Nippon. Yeah.
Cargo. We have a top secret taxi clearance for you. Advise when ready to copy.
Excellent.
Anyway, all right, and they definitely had the right to be concerned about because we're responsible for not hitting our wingtips on different other airplanes or buildings or whatever. Yeah, we'll save that for the next show. Let's go to Kilo, and this is an interesting one. Where'd you find this, Liz?
Very topical.
Cruising around the web and you found it. Awesome. Okay, so this is from, let's see, the article is from where? It's AP News, actually, apnews.com. And let's see, and there's also a video associated with it, but we're going to start with this from the article. In Anchorage, Alaska, in the remotest reaches of Alaska, there's no relying on DoorDash to have Thanksgiving dinner or any dinner delivered. But some residents living well off the grid nevertheless have turkeys this holiday, thanks to the Alaska Turkey Bomb. For the third straight year, a resident named Esther Kime has been flying low and slow in a small plane over rural parts of south central Alaska, dropping frozen turkeys to those who can't simply run out to the grocery store. And it goes on to talk about how Alaska is mostly wilderness, only 20% accessible by road. And in the wintertime, people that live in remote areas have to rely on small planes or snowmobiles to travel any distance. So talks about this young lady that decided to kind of deliver frozen turkeys to these people that otherwise wouldn't be able to enjoy that kind of a meal for Thanksgiving. And so let's play a little bit of the video. Thank you, Liz. And go.
Tossing turkeys.
Okay, goes on to basically talk about what I was talking about in rural Alaska.
It sounds like a drink, doesn't it? The Alaskan turkey bomb.
A turkey bomb.
Yeah.
I've had those. They're pretty tasty.
I grew up out in Squatna, Alaska, which is about 50 miles north west of Anchorage.
She's the lead
During
turkey
the fall and the
bombardier.
freeze-up,
No,
families
bombardier.
would be stuck out there because you can't travel. Everything's freezing up. It's not safe. We had a friend that would fly and drop a turkey for Thanksgiving. I just remember it being just so exciting and so fun. He would drop a newspaper, and inside the newspaper was a pack of gum. And for a kid that couldn't just go to the store, a pack of gum just meant so much. You know, you can't access the store easily, and so you have to plan in advance. You have to prepare for long times, like break up and freeze up. It's 3 weeks, like I would say minimum. Jump ahead, we moved into town, and I went out. We were visiting the cabin, and I was visiting our closest neighbor out there. He was saying how one squirrel doesn't split 3 ways very far for dinner. And I had a thought in my head when he said that I'm gonna airdrop him a turkey. And then it just turned into, you know, I'm gonna do this for all the families that are still out there, because I remember how what that meant to my family and to all the rest of the family. It was pretty special. So for airdropping, it's efficient because we can get to so many families so quickly. We're traveling from Wasilla to Talkeetna, to the foothills of Denali, all the way up to Rainy Pass area, and all the way in between. Just this year, I actually found out that there's 3 families that I'll be dropping a turkey to that have kids, and I was so excited because as a kid growing up out there, I understand what candy meant and the lack of it. And I'm sure it was good for me, but as a kid, it's always so exciting and fun. So I actually put something special in their turkey bomb today. I put some ice cream and some other things in there. I didn't really tell them. We buzz the family or the house until we see someone come out.
This is
and
cool.
As soon as we see someone come out, then we come around, and Heidi, my pilot, she's a pro. She gets low and slow as possible. It's teamwork, really. She just flies the plane as slow and low as she can, and I just try to drop it before any houses or people.
Pretty low, actually. They're showing a very low pass over a winter runway, like feet above, and then the dropping of the turkeys. That's pretty cool. They're very happy.
So my vision with this Alaska Turkey Bomb mission is to reach more parts of Alaska. I'm just reaching this area because it's what I know and places that I know, and it's where I grew up, so my heart is kind of out there.
That was a little bit higher.
I went a long way down.
More villages, more rural places, and I need more resources for that. I need more pilots. Also,
Boom.
I don't know.
Looks like they need to add a longer streamer because some of those things are disappearing into the snow.
And so that's also a challenge. But
a
I've
parachute
had people
might be
reach out
better.
to me due to just putting it out there. I hope it could be turned into something pretty awesome where it's just not turkeys. Something on my heart, out in the villages, there's a lot of kids, and I don't know. I was thinking, what could impact them? Maybe a stuffed animal or something they can hold. I don't know, but it's just there's lots of possibilities. So I'm really excited about this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
There was something I was reading, maybe the article or somewhere else with that. She had said that, pardon me? Yeah, and then in a moment we'll put the video back on. The fact that she has to be very careful that people know that she's there and coming because these things can get lost. I think that she said one year the frozen turkey went missing for like 5 days because it went into 15 feet of snow and nobody really got a good fix on where exactly it went. But the good news is that, the weather in Alaska this time of year, that frozen turkey is going to be just fine. It's not going to thaw out. Neil in our live audience says, if you're really lucky, she drops wild turkey. That's a possibility. Yeah, for sure. But when I was reading this news item, I thought, seems to me like I've heard this story before, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe you can load that to the stage, Liz. And then I remember.
Now I guess it's looking for a place to land. No, something just came out of the back of the helicopter.
Les Nessman,
A dark object.
WKRP.
Winner of the Ohio Buckeye Reporter Award.
There's no parachutes yet. Those can't be skydivers. I can't tell just yet what they are, but... Oh my God, they're turkeys! Johnny, can you get this? Oh, they're crashing to the earth right in front of our eyes! One just went through the windshield of a parked car! This is terrible. The cars running around pushing each other? Oh my goodness! Oh, the humanity! People are running about. The turkeys are hitting the ground like sacks of wet cement!
Okay. That's Les Nessman, WKRP in Cincinnati, the turkey drop episode. Probably one of the best WKRP in Cincinnati sitcom episodes ever.
Yes.
Yeah, that was...
As God is my witness, thought turkeys could fly.
Oh yeah, the candy bomber.
Oh yeah, a few stories. The candy bomber and in Berlin during the
blockade.
The blockade of Berlin by the Russians, and also of course the on the East Coast the Christmas Santa story of the guy who used to fly around dropping Christmas presents to the kids in all the lighthouses around Maine and the coastline there. Which my main man Micah put me onto that story. So I just worry a little bit that this story is going to gain traction and eventually the FAA are going to hear about it, because I
was concerned about that too.
Yeah.
But then I saw how low she was to the ground. I'm thinking, well, if they saw that, they'd probably go, well, it's probably okay. But there might be some kind of a rule against dropping things out of airplanes. I'm not sure.
I'm afraid there is. Yes.
Well, as long as you
have cleared it with the
as long as you make sure
owner.
that you're not putting people in danger, you can't drop stuff out of airplanes. Yeah. So I think like if it looked like when she was flying really low, it looked like she was flying down an actual runway.
I think she was,
so,
in several cases.
If like they have it set up where she's flying down a runway and dropping it, or like flying through a clearing where she knows she's not like dropping it over a house or over people actively standing there, it'd be hard. I think it'd be hard for the FAA to get me mad.
I feel like Alaska's a little different anyway with everything.
Yeah, but sadly the FAA based in Washington.
I know.
Yeah,
sadly.
They don't have the same kind of... They're not on the same page
mindset
all the time. But hey, good for you, Esther. Esther Kame. Very cool. I'm sorry, you're breaking up again, Liz. What? Oh, okay. In the show notes, we'll have this article, and it has an address that you can send donations to help her with this, what do they call it? Turkey bomb mission, I think she called it. Very cool. Yeah. All right, time to get to know us. Here we go. The time of the show where we get all caught up with the crew and what we've been up to between episodes. And let's see. Camacho, it's been a while since we've heard from you. I know that you're very busy with your work and also family. So fill us in. What's been up with you? So
I've been traveling a little bit for work this month. I was in Texas, I think, when I caught the tail end with you guys. Missed the show, but we were able to chat for a second. And then heading out to California next week. So in between trips, it's a challenge because I go on a trip and I've got everything to do while I'm on the trip, and then fall behind my standard desk work. And so when I get back home, I've got a bunch of work to do to catch up on. So it's been a little bit of a juggling act there, but in terms of work, I guess workload at work, it's we have had some successful efforts here recently, which has been great from a stability standpoint, but it also has brought a little more, has put more eyes on us. So we're getting more work, but it's more work. So more work has to be done. I had my family in town this week for Thanksgiving yesterday. Still in town, I guess. My sister and her family drove up from Texas, so we've been spending some time with them, and had a good gathering yesterday at my house. And so then today there's a Chiefs game on, a Black Friday Chiefs game.
I was going to ask you about that. 3 o'clock Eastern, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting because the Chiefs are, man, I don't remember it now. I'd have to go back and look, but I think Tuesday is the only day of the week the Chiefs don't play this year, which is kind of wild because football used to only be on Sundays. And it used to be on Sunday and Monday. And then they added a Thursday night game. And so now the Chiefs have played Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night games. They're playing on a Friday for Black Friday. They're playing on Christmas Day, which I think is Wednesday. And then they're playing one of the last games of the year. They're playing on Saturday. So when the college football ends now, the NFL plays on Saturday and Sunday. So they're running quite the gamut there in terms of when they play.
Who are they playing today?
The Raiders.
Okay. Las Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
Just sounds weird.
Watch those with my in-laws, catch up with them, and we'll get I'll have the full hand of hanging out with all my family before the weekend even starts, and hopefully I can catch up on some projects over the weekend.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for making the time. Really appreciate that.
Yep.
All right. Very good. Dr. Steph, what have you been up to?
Yeah. So I did some flying last weekend. That was nice. Yeah.
Someone who flies.
Yeah, I flew an airplane.
Just only one here on the panel.
I flew jumpers last Saturday. It ended up being it started off very cold, so kind of a slow start, but then it warmed up nicely, and I don't know, there was nothing that was planned as far as I could tell, but apparently all the wingsuiters got their friends together and came out and kept the plane going all day long, which I was not anticipating. So I had it was quite a while before I was able to empty my bladder. So I think I flew 17 loads, but 14 of those were in a row. Which is not uncommon necessarily. I just wasn't thinking it was going to be that busy. So I didn't, anyway, that's my fault. But super nice day, beautiful and clear, like one of the clearest days I've seen in a long time. Could see all of Charlotte, all of the surrounding areas, all the mountains as well off to the west were quite clear. So just really pretty and nice. Glad that it was a busy day because this time of year it tends to be a little bit slower. And I got my medical renewed this past week, so good to go for another year there. Yay. And yep. And a couple of busy days at work on top of it with lead up to the holiday weekend. Had one day where I didn't feel very good either, and I don't know what that was about. It thankfully only one day and kind of passed. And then had a fairly quiet Thanksgiving yesterday with my dad and my brother. My brother came over and we decided we were going to cook just enough so we would not have leftovers because we're not really great at managing leftovers.
How did that work out?
Not great. We did well on the main dish. We decided instead of a turkey, since there was only a couple of us, we did 3 Cornish hens. which were quite lovely.
3 Cornish hens.
Yeah, something
and
like that.
a partridge. No, that's not right.
And then we went a little overboard on the sides, though. So, the day before, we're both going, we should make some sides. So independently, we went to the store, and he got stuff to make mac and cheese, and I made a sweet potato casserole thing, but really it's just brown sugar, butter, marshmallows, and sweet potatoes. And I made a cranberry salsa, and then he also did some just regular roast potatoes. So actually, let's see if I can present this. I have a picture of my dinner plate. It turned out quite nice. Let's see. Share screen, window, this one.
Yeah, wow.
There you go.
Ooh.
So,
ooh, yes.
Yeah, it turned out.
Looks like that Cornish game hen hit a wall or a window or something.
So I'm not a cook, but apparently that's spatchcocking.
That's from the Snarge place.
Oh, yes. The Snarge. The Snarge at the top and the bottom of the plate.
Yeah. Those are cranberries, but I like the cranberry salsa instead of cranberry sauce. So it's pretty tart instead of sweet. And that is wine that I procured in Spain like 5 years ago, and finally decided we should consume from Basque Country. So it was quite nice.
The wine in Spain stays mainly on the plain.
Something.
So, oops.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. Keep trying to. Liz and I are trying to do the same thing there. So it was nice, and I'll probably visit with some friends tomorrow, but otherwise I'm just gonna have a quiet weekend, I think.
Any of those
and then flying next weekend.
Ghost peppers or anything like that? Don't you normally? Isn't that a tradition for you on Thanksgiving?
No, it's just a bad habit.
But no, I don't think we have any this year. So
too bad.
It's sad. Yeah, I didn't grow any this year. I had grown ghost peppers last year, or not ghost peppers. Carolina Reapers. Sorry,
Reapers. Yeah.
This year I have. Actually, I just picked one yesterday. I'm still getting my little sweet peppers, the bell peppers, off the plant. So, and I still have tomatoes growing on my tomato plant too. It's bizarre.
Wow.
Yeah, good stuff. And then flying next weekend again. So
that's the APG Reaper, not the Carolina Reaper.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Captain Nick.
I've got interesting thing coming up. I might have mentioned it, but no problem mentioning it again. Thursday next week, I may not be on the show. We'll see how it goes. But I'm off to London to the Royal Air Force Club to meet Bob Judson. I've mentioned him, fellow podcaster of Leading for Life podcast. And he's arranged for us to interview Colin Bell. He's a 103-year-old Mosquito pilot from the Second World War. And a fascinating chap. I've heard so much about him. I can't wait to meet him. So we're going to be doing an interview, and that'll hopefully be the next Plain Tale. I'm really. That's going to be a very memorable couple of hours, I think, because these fine gentlemen are fewer and fewer in number now as the years pass. And, of course, being a Mosquito pilot, one of the Pathfinders, who did such a dangerous job out there, leading the big raids of bombers and marking the targets. It's incredible he survived. But, the Mosquito was not an easy airplane to fly apart from that. So it's going to be really good fun. And I will take a few pictures of him to put on the next show, but it'll be with my new camera. Yeah. Yes. So having retired from taking professional pictures, I decided to clear my decks a little bit and got rid of some of my photographic equipment.
Decks.
And
gotcha.
Clear the decks. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Clear the decks with something of Holly. Anyway, So with the money I generated, I put it towards what will probably be my last ever camera. I don't know, I might get another one, but we'll see. So I've got a new camera, and I was out playing with it and the dogs, and took some pictures, and I'm very impressed with it. It's a beautiful camera. It takes beautiful pictures. Has nothing to do with me at all. The photographers.
No, that's not true.
Completely. It's full of AI and eye tracking, so you can just
camera?
look at your subject, and it should, aim the focusing point at that, and all sorts of other clever stuff. So I had great fun with it. I'm still getting to grips with it because the technology in it is so new. It's all different from any of my other cameras. In fact, they've even switched all the controls around. So every time I try and turn it off, I start video mode and all this kind of stuff because they swap the switches. And
is it a
the
Kodak
menus
or
are all.
what is it?
It's a Canon R5 Mark II. I did have the original one, but this one is quite an improvement on that. So anyway, I'm still taking pictures. And of course, other pictures I do include the cover art. And thank you, Liz. Last week was an interesting one because we had undulating runways, winds or undercarriage. Use your pilot voice. APG bad attitude indicator. Green aurora and red eye, northern lights, flight deck dollies. There were a whole heap of very good suggestions. But for me, undulating runways at Birmingham, which was one of the questions, which Captain Al kindly answered when he sent some feedback in. So I've got a picture there, a very accurate representation of the runway at Birmingham Airport.
Actual photograph.
Exactly. And all the airliners going round on the rails like they do. Yeah, and of course the show title, but thank you Al for sending in that feedback, was Undulating Al, and I hid the show number in there. It was 640. If you can't see it, you have to look closely at that bit of greenery in the bottom right hand corner, and I've highlighted it there for you. So
yeah, if you highlight it, we can see it.
Yeah, well, just polish your glasses and I can see it quite clearly, but there you go.
You're the one that put it there.
Yeah, that's true. It does make it a bit easier. And of course, I've also, in that blow up, you can see the logo, can't you?
No. Where?
The middle of the O in come.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it looks like a little smudge of something there.
It looks pretty. Yeah, it looks pretty clear to me. It says Acme. I can see Acme. I don't know what's wrong with everyone else.
Okay, now it's clear to me. Now that I know where to look for it.
So I don't know if anyone else was
very nice.
Getting frustrated hunting for it, but there you go. That was the artwork for last week.
Excellent. Very nice. Oh, what have I been up to? Doing a little bit of singing here and there. I was in singing. I'm singing. Wherever that little sound clip is, it's there somewhere. Thanksgiving in the United States was this week on Thursday, yesterday. We're recording this on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And there was a Thanksgiving Day Mass that was at 8. When they asked me to sing in the Thanksgiving Day Mass, the two ladies I enjoy singing with, Rosemary and Chris Thomasberger, I didn't realize, I just assumed that the Thanksgiving Day Mass would be like at noon, some reasonable time, 8:30, okay. So luckily, our producer and good friend who looks out for me quite a bit, Liz, suggested a while back that I, kind of mix my stays in the RVS at campgrounds with, every now and then hotel rooms, especially ones that are closer to my singing venues. And so I thought that's a good idea. And I kind of thought that that's what I would be doing anyway when I started this lifestyle. And now that the weather is getting a little bit chillier, that's also becoming more and more common for me to end up in a hotel instead of in a campground somewhere. So I was in a hotel in Alpharetta, Roswell area, not too far. It was a nice, short drive to St. Peter Chanel for the Mass on Thursday. I didn't spend Thanksgiving with any family or any friends. I have a feeling last year I spent Thanksgiving with the Willets, Greg and Jennifer Willets. And I think that many of the people that would normally invite me over for Thanksgiving dinner and just assume that I was going to be doing something like that again, I wasn't. So to celebrate Thanksgiving, yesterday I went to a brand new Mediterranean restaurant in Roswell that I spotted. And I thought, well, they probably won't be really super busy, like Cracker Barrel or something like that, serving a traditional Thanksgiving dinner. So I had nothing traditional Thanksgiving at all for my meal last night, but it was so good. It's kind of like, those Brazilian steakhouses where they kind of bring meats to you, like every time you turn around, they're like shaving something off of some kind of a skewer or whatever, or asking if you want a sample of this, sample of that. That's the same kind of a concept that this Mediterranean place has. I've never seen that before. Yeah, it's a flat fixed price. I think it was like $49 for an adult. And they bring you, when they started, they just brought out all these little sample bowls of salads and dips and hummus and tahini and what's the one that's the smoked? Oh, come on, Jeff. Yeah, baba ganoush. Love that. Love just saying it. It's fun. Baba ganoush.
I thought you were talking about grass.
No. And then they started bringing out all the meats and all the good kebab meats that they skewer and roast over open flame and all that kind of stuff, and great bread, pita bread. Anyway, so it was a wonderful meal.
Brilliant.
Yeah, my tummy was okay, Liz. Thanks for asking. I wasn't sure because I ate way more than I should, and I left so much on that table, but they kept just bringing me stuff, and I'm going like, what are they? How am I going to eat all this stuff? So yes, well, it wasn't a Brazilian, Neil. It was I think the family is a Pakistani. So I got a Pakistani instead of a Brazilian. Not sure exactly what that would be, but use your imagination. It was delicious though. Yeah, for sure. And so I am still at the hotel in Alpharetta, Fairfield Inn and Suites. And I've been really undergoing lots of, what would you say, consternation? No, maybe not. Angst. Yeah. Trying to figure out what I'm going to do here, because I knew this was going to be something I was going to have to encounter and figure out in my full-time life of, living in the RV motorhome. And that is when the temperatures drop below freezing, then you have to take steps to protect your indoor plumbing. And I'm not talking about my personal indoor plumbing. I'm talking about the motorhome. But it is important to take steps to take care of your own indoor plumbing
too.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about with the Pakistani food.
That's why you drink alcohol.
That's right.
It's an antifreeze.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it makes sense to me. I don't know if there's medical research that actually, would
we'll have to ask the
support that.
doctor.
I'm gonna look up the most current thinking on that and get back to you. It's a little outside my typical area of expertise.
Well, I'm ready to volunteer for the study.
Great.
Good for you.
So the temperatures here in the Atlanta area, actually most of Georgia, are dropping below freezing. And I was thinking, well, do I do I leave? But if I leave for the weekend and head south or southeast toward the coastline where the temperatures are just barely above freezing, that keeps everything safe. I don't have to winterize the thing, which means, emptying all the water out of all the plumbing and replacing it with RV non-toxic antifreeze, not the antifreeze that you put in your car, but it's a different kind of antifreeze. But then that kind of shuts the whole thing down. I don't have a shower. I don't have a toilet. I have nothing, so I'm basically like tent camping, and have to be near, the bathhouse and shower and bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. I went, I don't want to do that. I guess I'm too pampered to have to deal with something like that. So, yeah, I decided finally, I think my last decision was that I'm going to stay here in the area because I've kind of obligated myself to sing on the weekends for masses, and we're getting closer and closer to Christmas time, and a lot of rehearsals every weekend for the Christmas music. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet, going to go ahead and get the thing winterized, and then probably mostly stay in hotels when I'm here in the area. And then, maybe during the weeks between weekends through December, I may end up traveling a little bit during the week, but that means I have to de-winterize the thing. And then maybe I'm going to get so good at doing the winterization and de-winterization that it's going to be no big deal. So I don't know. Has Tim piped up or whatever? Okay.
It's very apt.
He is an RV expert. He's got a lot of experience. Yeah, so that is one of the nice features of being in a hotel, is the internet situation is pretty stable. I've only noticed a couple of little, blurby, not blurby, like Skype audio coming in, but we have some backup recordings going, so that should. But oh yes, I'm a gold member of Marriott Bonvoy now, and I get the enhanced internet, which is, I never, all the travels, 35 years of airline travels, I never ever had any kind of hotel status at all, because the way it worked, at least at Delta, is that Delta would contract with the hotels and set up all of the stuff for us. And because of that, they got the really lowest rates they could possibly get. And the hotels basically said, okay, but we're not going to give out any points for any of this stuff. So being an airline pilot at Delta, it was nice because everything was taken care of for you, but I never got any, with few exceptions, I never got credit for any stays or any points applied toward any kind of a loyalty program. But since I have retired, I've spent like 41 nights in, is that my telephone?
Hello?
Oh, okay. It almost sounds like a phone in my hotel room. I'm thinking, who would be calling me? Anyway, so yeah, I'm a gold elite member now at Marriott Bonvoy.
Perhaps your gold member will protect your internal plumbing.
Well, we're going to find out. Yeah, I don't, just to be clear, I don't have a gold member. I am a gold member. And people have called me worse.
I don't know which
actually.
is better.
Yeah, that guy, that Nielsen, is quite a. Yeah, I'm not writing my dating profile list. I do not have a dating profile. Thank you. Anyway, so things have been kind of, as I said, I knew that this was going to be a factor when the temperatures drop the rest of the year. Now, my solution is going to be after Christmas time. I don't really have the obligations that I had made as far as singing every weekend or every couple of weekends. I'm going to head south. I'm going to head down to Florida, probably, maybe South Texas, maybe Arizona. I don't know, somewhere in the United States of America that is a little bit warmer or more mild temperatures, so I don't have to worry about this stupid, shutting off the plumbing thing, So anyway, so it's first world problems, right? Not a big deal. I'm still happy in my RV full-time lifestyle, and I'm happy being in hotels because I'm pretty much. This is like when I check into a hotel, I go, oh yeah, I remember this. Like so much of my life I've spent inside of hotels and hotel rooms, so it's not foreign to me at all. So, all right, so that's my. That's it. All right, I think we can do the coffee fund, which is where we sing a little bit. Liz and I do anyway.
Johnny, how much more coffee? No thanks.
I love coffee. I love tea. I love the APG community. Coffee and tea and the Java and me. A cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. Oh yeah, the Coffee Fund. It's your way, dear listener and viewer, to support us financially if you want. This whole thing is basically a labor of love, and we just enjoy getting together every week as friends to talk about mostly aviation-related things. But there are people out there, believe it or not, who want to support us in a financial way so that we just don't disappear in the future. And so it does give us motivation to continue to do this each and every week. You'll notice we don't have any commercials, no advertisers on the show. It's completely supported by you, our lovely listeners. A couple different ways to do that. One is the Coffee Fund Classic method. And since the last episode, we have a couple of recurring contributors, Jenny in Rome and Vigner Orenguanason. And then some one-offs from Stephen Simpson and Alan Davis. Very generous donations from those two gentlemen. Thank you very much. That's Coffee Fund Classic method. You can also become a patron of the show via patreon.com. And we have a new producer, Johns or Yawns. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce that. I'm thinking maybe Yawns. Or maybe that's what he does when he listens to us. He yawns a lot. Yeah. So thank you, Yawns, for signing up to be a producer of the show via Patreon. So if you are interested in joining this wonderful group of people, please head over to airlinepilotguide.com/coffee. You'll be glad you did. And we will too. There we go. I am ready to go over to my refrigerator and grab a very special brew that is seasonal, and it's one of my favorite brews of all time. No.
I almost bought some this morning. I did.
That is seasonal.
I love.
I bought one of those little things of eggnog as I was in the store several weeks ago, and I saw somebody grab one in front of me and went, ooh, yeah, I could do that. I have this new little machine that makes like microfoam for steaming milk, but it like heats up the milk and uses magnets and stuff to make this really nice latte kind of foam. And so then I put it in my refrigerator and then completely forgot that I had my eggnog in my refrigerator until it was time for me to have some. Guess what?
Not great.
It doesn't
last very long.
That long.
Oh dear.
You got to kind of be ready to drink it when you purchase it.
Yeah. I wasn't apparently, and I also bought some milk as well. And apparently I didn't drink that fast enough either because I made a
that
latte.
had turned into eggnog.
I took a sip of that latte and I went, oh, this does not taste good at all.
Ugh.
Anyway, so
Beverage
I'll
time?
be right back. If you want to entertain the troops, Captain Nick, if you're ready to, and
really?
Liz, you can
So
pop
I have
yourself
to-
in if you'd like.
No, I was just musing about rubbing alcohol and Jess Gold member. But there you go.
I didn't have to go. very
Rubbing
far.
alcohol on his gold member? What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you see, we were talking about alcohol and being a medical cure, and I thought it might include rubbing alcohol, which,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Haven't there just been some tragic deaths out in Laos of people drinking bad alcohol.
Oh golly,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't-
they put methanol or something
Yeah.
in the
These,
drinks.
beautiful young girls and young
no.
women have been backpacking and drank.
That's not good.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, it's what happens if you get given free shots by the locals.
Don't take them.
Don't do that.
Especially in a backpacking hotel. Yes.
No, exactly.
Well, on a much lighter note, while Jeff was recounting his past week, I was using the new Apple AI image playground thing to do some of the. I was looking at the possible show titles so far, just seeing how creative I could get if I could come anywhere near Captain Nick, and I cannot.
Of course you can. Of course you can.
It's actually pretty fun to play around with. So
excellent.
Yeah, it's not that. But
he's back
that's a good
with
starting
his
point.
celebration. He's got a celebration with him. Okay, see you later.
Celebration Fresh Hop
Nice.
IPA. From
Oh, Sierra
Brewing.
Nevada. Looks very nice.
Mine's just water still, but it's a Lagunitas Happy Refresher. Passion
Well,
fruit flavor.
I'm just having a cup of tea.
Uh-huh. What's that say? Tongham tea?
From the Hog's Back. I recognize that place.
Yes, Tongham tea from the Hogs, very close to the
What does
hotel where we
Tongham
had our.
mean?
Tongham is the village where the brewery is, just down the hill from that hotel we stayed at.
Oh, yeah.
In Farnborough.
I'm wearing a Farnborough t-shirt.
2016. Oh, look at
Oh.
that. Yay.
I'm
That's a great shirt.
wearing. Which one am I wearing?
Oh, yeah, the Osh
Osh
19. Osh Blast 2019. You know,
There you go. So
we need to start getting back into doing that stuff and getting more T-shirts.
I know I'm running
Yes,
low on
I
my
know.
APG t-shirt supply. They
Okay.
do
Well.
wear out eventually.
Oh, and that, I forgot even now who volunteered to help me with that. Is it Peter Tarantelli that decided that he would volunteer to help with the, if you're listening, Peter, I haven't forgotten. It's just that other things have happened in my life that have taken priority, I guess, but we need to kind of get that going as well. Oh, guess what I saw yesterday? What movie I watched?
Oh, Gladiator.
No, it's not a new one. It's a classic.
Airplane.
Thanksgiving.
Blazing Saddles.
Those are all great movies. No, it's starring not Ed Candy.
The Sands of
John
Iwo
Candy
Jima.
and Steve Martin. Planes, Trains, and
Planes, Trains, and
Automobiles.
Automobiles. Perfect.
Yeah, what a great movie that is. Is it just me, or is Liz's signal breaking up?
That time she was breaking up. The previous time you said it, I could hear her just fine, but that time I did not.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
Clear.
Neil Landwarm.
Austin Powers, gold member.
It's a good guess.
Perfect.
That's what I watched.
Neil.
I like watching that
Very
gold
good.
member.
Yeah.
And I also heard, speaking of Airplane, the movie, the guy that wrote the thing just passed away, I think, didn't he? Yeah, I think.
Oh, really?
I forgot what his name is. But just heard that in the news
One of
a couple
the
days ago, I think.
two brothers?
Or one of the writers, or one of the brothers. I
I'll
don't know.
have to look it up. I missed that news.
Did
entirely.
someone
Could be wrong.
accidentally unplug his life support machine?
Yeah, that guy.
Yes.
I love it. Love the way you tied in that scene. Okay. Feedback bumper. Well, let me get my feedback ready to go first. Okay. From Richard.
Yeah, Jim Abrams passed away. Who's one of the writers.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I heard.
Because there's two brothers, the Zucker brothers, I think, and then Jim Abrams was the third writer.
I thought you. I kind of your audio is breaking up to me.
Oh,
it's
is it?
not you. No, I don't think it's your audio. I mean, internet.
Oh,
I think
the old
mine.
"It's not you, it's me" from Jeff.
Right? Yes.
It's
yes.
me.
Yes.
I was thinking when you said, I thought you were saying Stephanie Abrams had passed.
No.
Really?
Jim Abrahams, I think is actually his name. I think I got his name wrong.
Oh.
Jim Abrahams
Okay.
was one of the writers.
Okay.
Yes,
That's what
he
I
was
heard,
80.
I guess. Okay. Okay, feedback bumper. Here we go.
Captain, incoming message.
All right, received some feedback from Richard in reply to Adam regarding bank angle warnings. He says, I've been listening to episode 640, our last episode, and wanted to answer Adam's feedback as to why aircraft should just shout bank angle at you rather than tell you which way to roll. Well, I'm here to say that aircraft do this now. The 737 MAX I fly, there's a good thing about the MAX? That's amazing. The 737 MAX I fly has a feature called Enhanced Bank Angle Warning. It is triggered when the aircraft's bank exceeds 45 degrees. It consists of a red arrow on the PFD, the primary flight display, showing the direction in which to roll the aircraft, and an aural alert, roll left, or roll right. I had this go off in the simulator recently while we were practicing upset recovery, and she is very firm. The bank angle is quite a relaxed call, almost like the plane is saying, "Excuse me, if you wouldn't mind just limiting the bank angle, please, that would be lovely." But the lady voice that shouts, "Roll left," makes it feel like you've been very naughty, being told off, and won't get any pudding tonight. If the aircraft passes 180 degrees of bank, then the system changes and then tells you to roll the shortest distance back to wings level. That was one of our concerns that we were talking about when we were discussing this. But I guess the system's smart enough to know which way is the shortest way to roll to get back to wings level. That's pretty cool. I know Nick said he doesn't see a need for this because if you hear a bank angle aural alert, then your first instinct is to check the PFD and roll the correct way. But there have been plenty of accidents where the crew could have saved the aircraft if they'd just done what they needed to do. Air France 447, for example. If the aircraft had shouted, pitch down at them, then maybe it wouldn't have crashed. Yeah, I have to agree with him. These are probably the most basic flying skills, and I'd like to think that if I was in a 50-degree bank to the left, I wouldn't naturally bank back to the right without a computer shouting at me. But maybe, in such stressful situations, a simple, clear instruction can kick you into gear and make you do the right thing. Again, that's from Richard, and he had some pictures of the displays and the big red arrow showing you which way to turn the jet to get it back to wings level. Very clever, and I guess all those reasons or explanations for why we thought that this wasn't a thing. Never mind. I guess we've addressed those.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to a bit of the old curmudgeon's coming out now.
Oh no.
Well, yes, but if you can't read the attitude indicator, I don't think you deserve to be in the cockpit. But if some pilots need a little oral warning to remind them what the attitude indicator does and how to interpret it, well, that's fine. That's no problem. I don't have a problem with that.
What's an attitude indicator?
However, the AI attitude indicator.
I'm just
kidding. You've got a bad attitude indicator. I would just say that in a very stressful situation, one of the very first things you lose is your ability to interpret oral commands. So the accident world full of incidents where people have had things shouted at them or their warnings have been shouting at them, but because they've closed in so much under the stress of the situation, they're not hearing the warnings anymore. Their brain is finding it too hard to interpret all the inputs, and one of the first things to close down is your ability to interpret oral sounds. Fine. They've got a visual arrow, so perhaps that'll help. The Air France thing, well, I'm not too sure about that because, of course, the aircraft was in a degraded flight control mode, so the protections that were there most of them had already turned off. I don't know if there was an equivalent voice, whether that would still be operating in that situation. And I hate people who, actually it's not true, I don't hate people who continually quote the Air France 447 incident, because it is much more complicated than that. And it's an easy one to pluck if you want to say, if only they'd done this. But there's a lot more to it than that. But it's fine. I really don't have a problem if someone wants to enhance a visual display to make it clearer what to do left. After all, the the F-18 had, if you went into a spin, it would have big arrows on all the green displays would come up going left or right to show you which way to push the stick to break the spin. And, if highly trained military pilots can make use of that visual aid, then I think that's fine. If they're going to put it in a
oral warning was the best, though. Stop spinning. Stop spinning.
Yes.
That helps.
I might point out that in that accident, I think it was over 27 times they got a stall warning oral indication, and they completely ignored it. I mean, they didn't even mention it to each other. The airplane was shouting stall at them. So,
well, the problem was that the guy that was at the controls, as soon as he heard the stall warning, he did the opposite of pitching down. He pulled back, and nobody knew that that's what he was doing the entire ride in the descent.
Yeah, well, I think, like I say, it's a big subject. I've covered it in a plain tale. So if anyone wants to go back, listen to that, you'll find out all my attitudes. Yeah.
No, I just don't know what a plain tale is. I don't know what,
we haven't had one for a while, have we?
I think I need to clarify something here that this fellow Brit, Richard, that you're denigrating here and saying that you hate him. I don't think so. I think he's using some hyperbole. That's what I think, Rich. We love you, even if Captain Nick doesn't.
I think it's great feedback, Richard. Don't get me wrong. I think it's lovely to see that someone's making an effort to try and, give some assistance to pilots in difficult situations. So I don't have a problem with that at all. I prefer the arrow to the oral bit, but as regards whether the airplane should tell you which way to pitch if you're in a stall, I'm starting to despair if our pilots don't know which way to roll, don't know which way to pitch in various situations.
It is discouraging for sure. Micah, main man Micah in our live audience says, at that point, why not have the plane just do it for you? In fact, why do we need pilots?
Good point. I think we should get rid of them. No, I'm retired. You can get rid of them all
anymore. So, yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
Main man Micah also is asking, and would bitching Betty be talking to you at that point, Nick, in the spin? I guess?
No, Micah.
Oh, yes.
There was no
Stop
bitching Betty.
Spinning. Stop spinning.
Hey,
but in a much nicer voice.
But, you might want to discontinue the spin.
Hey,
please. It's making me dizzy.
Don't do that. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it. Stop.
Bitching Betty was a very sweet lady. She gave an interview a while back, and she looked just like someone's grandmother. She was lovely.
Yep. Very cool. All right, let's continue on. Thanks again, Richard. We do not hate you. Hugh sent us this regarding service animals. He says, first of all, this is the most important part of his feedback. Love the podcast. Thank you. I'm sure you've seen this, but if not, here's a link. Wondering what the crew thinks about how this was handled. Shouldn't the flight manifest show that there's a passenger with a service animal on board? Yeah. Initially, this made me mad at Porter Airlines, a good Canadian company, but then saw all the Canadian airlines have bad rap sheets when it comes to passengers with disabilities. The captain blames poor communication with a flight attendant, but could more not have been done to solve this before returning to the gate? Yeah, a lot more could have been done. I agree, Hugh, in Vancouver, BC. So the article is from CBC News, Canadian Broadcasting Company, I believe. Corporation, thank you. Porter breaks its own rules by kicking deaf woman. Oh, why did they
and
kick
her
her?
service dog.
Oh,
and
her service dog.
Don't kick the dog.
Oh, man. You know what? I'd be incensed about this. Oh, wait a minute. Kick them off a flight. I didn't read the entire headline. Sorry. Georgina Villeneuve and her service dog, Maggie. There's a nice little picture of Maggie. Were kicked off of Porter last month after the crew didn't seem to know the airline's own rules around service animals. She says that the humiliation still stings when she thinks about being forced off a Porter plane last month. She was threatened by a flight attendant and berated by another passenger, all over her 20-pound service dog sleeping at her feet. Yeah, that would piss me off too, wouldn't it? You?
Yeah.
Absolutely. For a week, I cried nonstop. I don't like to create scenes. This is Georgina. She lost most of her hearing a few years ago after a viral infection. She says she can't hear out of her right ear and has less than 15% hearing in her left. So she mainly communicates by reading lips. She relies on her service dog, Maggie, to alert her to dangers or sounds that she needs to be aware of. Maggie also helps with Villeneuve's lack of balance caused by her hearing loss. But as a Porter plane bound for Edmonton waited in line to taxi down to Toronto runway in September, the flight attendant ordered Villeneuve to put her service dog under the seat in front of her, a direct violation of both Porter and Canadian Transportation Agency rules because it can injure the animal and interfere with the dog's ability to help its disabled owner. She said to me, the flight attendant, "It's like this. That dog goes under the seat or we're turning the plane around and we're going to remove you from the flight." All the while, Villeneuve says that an irate passenger seated in the row ahead was on a tirade, angry about a possible flight interruption. "He keeps yelling and screaming and telling us we're inconsiderate and we're losers," Villeneuve said. He says, "Just take the damn dog and kick it under the seat." Ooh, there was some kicking involved in this. Villeneuve had done everything she was supposed to do in order to bring a service animal on a flight. She even tried showing the flight attendant Porter's own rules posted on the airline's website. Oh, we don't want to show them that. But the crew member wouldn't drop her demand. An advocate for people with disabilities says he's not surprised to hear what happened to Villeneuve, but he's deeply disappointed. Anyway, so it goes on to talk about the rules regarding the rights of disabled passengers in Canada. And he's co-chair of the Transportation Committee for the Council of Canadians with Disabilities. So he said, he makes a good point. The dog's not a piece of luggage. It's not that extra piece that you get to take on the plane. That dog is there to do a job, and that job is to alert the person if something happening around them could be dangerous or she needs to be alerted to. And then the airline says, we have strong initial and recurrent training in place, but at some point in the latter part of the article, it mentions that we're going to kind of take a look at that and kind of maybe, emphasize or fix it up a little bit better so people understand, the rights of people that have legitimate service animals. And I want to say, I think part of the problem might be, I don't know if you guys agree or not, part of the problem is that for so many years, I don't know, I'm hoping it's better now, so many people basically slapped a sticker on their dog or duck or whatever it is and said this is a service animal. And they weren't actually real service animals, and the people that were bringing them on board really had no need for a service animal. And it just got to the point where, it's understandable that people look at somebody that claims that they have a service animal and you go, yeah, right, looks like a regular dog to me. I can see maybe the reaction. And I guess the communication between the flight attendant and the captain wasn't optimum, because I think the flight attendant failed to inform the captain that this was a service animal. I think maybe they just assumed it was somebody that had a pet that they were traveling with, and they were being a problem, and other passengers were starting to get upset. So yeah, it just sounds like, again, as we say over and over and over again on the show, communication is so important. And it sounds to me like there was some miscommunication here, and that could have been worked out before they returned to the gate. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. What do you all think?
Oh, 100%, Jeff. And, it is difficult when you've just got to, you're just about to line up and take off. You try and do checklists. The telephone rings and you're speaking to a cabin crew. You get a quick abbreviated version of the story, all told through the cabin crew members' eyes, their point of view. So you don't get a chance to have a balanced assessment, and you just have to take your cabin crew personnel, take their word and trust them that they've made a good assessment, because you're not in a position to leave the flight deck, go back and check out for yourself.
Right.
My camera.
Your camera is being very insensitive to you.
It's just sulking.
It just.
I don't know what that's all about.
I'm not going to point at you anymore. There it is.
I'm back. I'm sympathy with the captain, because I would have done the same if my senior cabin crew had said, difficult passenger, got to get rid of them. I would say, okay, well, going back to the gate, and just trust them. But I'm very disappointed with the cabin crew member. Very disappointed. Can I say that any stronger? No, I can't. No. I'm very disappointed.
Would you say that you hate that cabin crew member?
Well, not as much as I did Richard, but joking, Richard, joking.
And he's starting to begin to hate me, or maybe he has all along. I don't know.
Well, the curmudgeon, I've just managed to put him back to bed now, so I'm, that's the trouble with having an alter ego. You can't control them.
Just like your camera, just out of control.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is one of those things where, as a society, this is a situation where we've decided to err on the side of the person with their service animal. And, we're, at least in this country, you're not allowed to ask a lot of probing questions about why that person has a need for a service animal due to medical privacy laws and things like that, which unfortunately has led to the abuse of that privilege, I would say. But I would also argue that, any of those concerns probably should have been dealt with before someone gets on the airplane. Once you've got that passenger on the airplane and they've got their service animal with them, and, the dog is sleeping on the floor as it's supposed to, and all the rules are being followed, you have to, in good faith, go with that they're there for a legitimate purpose, and that person has a true need for having that service animal with them.
And maybe, beforehand, before the flight even boards, or while boarding, the gate agent could have had a conversation maybe with the flight crew and said, here's the situation. We have a passenger who is disabled and has a service animal, so that there are no questions before you even close the boarding door and start heading out, to the runway. That might have helped.
I suspect it's different on long haul, because our cabin crew get together an hour and a half before departure and have a 30-minute briefing on all the passengers that are on the aircraft, if there are any special needs, any different meals, all that kind of stuff that covers every eventuality. So the cabin crew are properly briefed as to the circumstances of any passenger that is out of the ordinary. I suspect on a little commuter flight like this, that probably doesn't happen.
No.
Right. And I was going to say, the kind of flying that I was doing, the short, medium haul stuff, when you're doing one flight after another, you don't have a lot of turnaround time and everything else. It's not like the international flights where you can take the time to have those kind of thorough briefings. But
exactly.
if there's something that you think might come to a head, like, somebody traveling with a service animal, that might be, or somebody who is carrying a weapon, those are important things to let the crew know.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man Micah in our audience says the questions that you're allowed to ask, or the questions that you are allowed to ask are, is that a service animal? And what service does the animal perform? Now, of course, this is probably U.S. law. It probably translates to the Canadian laws as well. But in this case, it was a Canadian issue.
Yeah, but you're definitely not allowed to ask the person what their disability is, you can't go into all of those things. So it can be a little bit vague.
Yeah. I have hope that things have improved quite a bit from, 5 to 10 years ago. I haven't been traveling a lot.
I think they have.
airlines.
I mean, I see, a handful of service animals, but it doesn't seem to be nearly as many as I used to see.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
for whatever
I
reason.
think the days of service animal peacocks and hamsters and tortoises, hopefully they've gone.
Well, if that would be a good segue to the hamster
feedback,
wouldn't it? Yeah, let's do that. Which one is that? Since he mentioned it, number 8.
Yeah.
Oh, Becky Rausch. She said, just had to share this. This is from UPI.com. A plane was grounded for 4 days when 132 hamsters escape on board. And
now,
look at that
I can
cute
understand
little animal.
needing one service hamster, but 132 service hamsters?
Well,
What
if you,
that?
yeah, if you have a
Give
lot
her
of
a
needs,
massage.
if you have a lot of needs, you might need extra ones, backups. The plane was grounded for 4 days at a Portuguese airport when 132 hamsters escaped from boxes in the cargo hold. The TAP Air Portugal flight from Lisbon to Ponta Delgada featured a full contingent of passengers, as well as hamsters, ferrets, and birds en route to a pet store. The flight ended up grounded in Ponta Delgada when the hamsters were found to have escaped into the cargo. Yay, we're free. Officials said the plane was kept at the airport for safety reasons, as the hamsters could pose a risk to the plane's electrical wires. I guess hamsters are like
they're rodents
mice and rats.
Yeah, they're rodents.
Yeah.
And anyone who's ever had a hamster as a pet is not surprised by this, because invariably it will escape and go running around your house for days until you can track it down.
Chewing
hopefully.
the electrical cables. There's something about the plastic, or perhaps it's the magnetic field around cables that they love. And they chew on them and either electrocute themselves or your burglar alarm system fails, which is what happened to me.
Oh, no. That's the number needed to power the wheelchair.
132 hamster. It's 132 hamster power.
Oh, yeah.
Wheelchairs.
Is that equivalent to like 1 horsepower or 1/2 horsepower?
Half.
Maybe.
Half a horsepower.
All right. All right, let's get back up to number 4 from Chris.
I just wanted to point out that they, when they cleared the airplane, they'd only found 14 less than they had initially on board. So they didn't
one.
find them all.
Oh, and they
that's,
were allowed
that's
to
what
go
I
back
read
into service?
on the expanded. Yes, they let it back into.
Oh.
No, the only reason they would do that is because they then fumigated the aircraft, I would assume, to kill any that are still alive, which I think is a bit unfair on the remaining 14 or whatever.
Yeah, but not to mention the fact that, have you ever smelled a rotting rodent in the...
I'm just going to say the hamsters should have thought about that before they escaped.
Indeed, they should have given themselves up.
They were on their way to a pet store to go live with some nice family and have a child, overly handle it from time to time and be fed nice things.
There's a lesson for all hamsters here.
Hamsters, sometimes they just don't think. All right. Or number 4, maybe. Let's see. Chris writes in. Well, he doesn't write. He typed in. Hello, wonderful APG crew. Long-time listener, but I haven't sent any feedback before. Well, why not, Chris? Why not?
He did now.
Okay. A little short introduction about myself. My name's Chris, and I'm working at an office with a cargo company at Stockholm Arlanda Airport in Sweden, handling many different airlines, making sure the cargo weights get to correct departments and doing the acceptance check for both DGR, which I think is dangerous goods, and AVI, which I think is animals stuff, I think. I looked that up a couple days ago. I'm also doing the no-talk notification to captain, and here is my short question. That's NOTOC, by the way, notification to captain. Here's my short question. Do you captains ever care for live animals as AVI? Okay, thank you. Do you captains ever look at the no-talk before departure? Nah. Or do you only look at it in the instant of an emergency for the ERG code so you know how to handle the situation? Take care, all, and have a wonderful holiday. Best regards, Chris. There's an A there with a little bubble on top of it, so I'm thinking that's Ackerman, maybe? I'm not sure how that would be pronounced, but thank you, Chris, for sending that in. And yeah, absolutely, we look at it. We have to. We're required by law to actually review the notification to captain, the no-talk, before we accept the no-talks are not a bunch of garbage.
Oh, no, you're wrong. They are still a bunch of garbage, but we're required to look at them.
At least hopefully it's not like 14 pages of no-talks.
Yeah, they're not.
There's only a few pages, right. But
yeah, they're not half as bad as the NOTAMs. No, honestly. But you need to look at what is on the note, and there's several things that we look for, and we have it's all in our operations manual. If you don't get these things too often, you have to go in. Well, you don't have to, but you should go into your operation manual, and it has a guide on what you're supposed to look for, what kind of signature is supposed to be there, and then of course the most important part of it. Well, you also have to look at the quantity of the dangerous good and where they're putting it in your airplane, because each airplane has a different place to put dangerous goods, and you have to ensure that they're placing it in the right place and that they're not like overloading it with a certain weight. So there are certain restrictions that the shipper has to follow, and the person working at your airline or whoever's doing the work for you to understand the importance of proper placement and weights and all that kind of stuff. But for us pilots, once we've checked to make sure all that stuff is legit or good, then we look at this EGR code, and that is the thing that we look at to see if something happens and we have to worry about that dangerous good or dangerous goods on board. How do you handle that? And there are different codes or procedures or protocols that you have to go through, depending on what kind of dangerous good is it. Is it a flammable liquid? Is it radiation? Is it biological goods? That kind of thing. And they all have their different way of dealing with them if necessary. And especially if you have like a situation where you have a rejected takeoff and you need to, be cognizant of the fact that you have dangerous goods on board. Several times we hear communications on liveatc.net earlier today. They asked the crew, I believe, of the what airline was it? Cargo jet, I think, the one that had the asymmetric slat issue. One of the first things that the air traffic controller asked was, do you have any dangerous goods on board? And if so, that's something that we need to know. We need to know what they are, and we need to, let our people in the little red cars know how to take care of it if it's something that's important. I'm just imagining in their little red cars or little red trucks. I don't know. Yeah. So that's what I would say about this. It's very important for us. We don't blow it off. We don't take it, just ball it up and then throw it in the trash can. Well, maybe if some people do that, they're not supposed to do that. I guess I should say. What do you think, Nick? How do you feel about no
Right,
talks?
I'm just fishing mine out of the trash can. Hang on a minute.
We provide, everyone gets
So-
a note for the podcast at the top of the show, and yeah, next one's
So
offended.
when I started in the industry, we used to get an annual whole morning's lesson on dangerous goods.
It's fascinating.
How to go through the dangerous goods manual we got was 3 inches thick. And it was the abbreviated version that you carried on the aircraft, because the entirety of all the manuals that went to the people packing and separating, etc., all the various possible dangerous goods were multiple huge manuals. Anyway, we had to learn to interpret all these different codes and go into the book and check to make sure that they hadn't exceeded the correct amounts. The task that was potentially required of you would have taken your entire time to prepare the paperwork for your flight, plus another hour or two. So as a result, we just had to rely on the skill of the people who were packing the cargo, that they had done due diligence, and that everything was given to us, apart from the fact that we can't go out and physically inspect all the packing to see if it's in the correct packing, and that you haven't mixed acidic things that could leak onto something else that could explode, and all the kind of things that can go wrong when you're carrying dangerous goods. So yeah, that's how it kind of started. As people began to realize that the impracticality of this, we stopped having to sign for it, and we merely had to have it there available to us. So we had to visually check that we had a NOTOC, and we had to trust that the guys doing all the cargo prep were doing their job properly. So we had it if we needed to, and we could show it to the firemen if they wanted to know if there were anything that they needed to worry about in the hold as they were fighting fires and things, because it really does affect the safety of emergency personnel coming up to an airplane that's on fire or something. They need to know what you're carrying in the cargo, if it's something other than all your passengers' knickers. So yeah, we did rely very much on the experts who were doing the packing, and thank the Lord, throughout my entire career, they did a great job, because I never had one incident with dangerous cargo that was coming onto the aircraft, which is fantastic.
I have to say, I can't agree more with Captain Nick as far as when we have our computer-based training every quarter or couple times a year, and one of them at least once a year involves dangerous goods training, and you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, how am I going to stay awake during this computer-based training lesson? But you're right, trust, and we've mentioned it so many times on our show, especially a big airline operation with all the different departments and everything else, and there's only so much you can do. You can't double check everybody's work. You have a certain level of trust that you have to have to make an operation run smoothly, and you hope that the people are competent in what they're doing in their jobs, and they're not fudging things, and don't have a negligent kind of attitude. Yeah, I agree with you. All that, and now, because they're trying to make everything paperless in our world, especially in the airline world, it's all electronic now. So there's, as Captain Nick said, there's no, we can't sign the piece of paper anymore. I mean, it used to be where the ramp worker would come up and he'd have a piece of paper and a couple of copies of it, and you'd sign one of them, he'd take that one, and then you keep the other one that had the codes on it, and then you'd look through and make sure that everything was above board. Yeah, it was kind of a cursory look. You couldn't really go into depth unless you had a lot of time to play with.
One of the few things I used to check was if we had a lot of dry ice on board.
Dry ice is probably the number one.
As dry ice melts, it releases carbon dioxide. If there was dry ice in the rear cargo hold, there was a very small limit, because that's where our cabin crew would go for their crew rest, in the module that was part of the cargo hold in the back of the airplane. And if there was a lot of dry ice in there, you could suffocate and kill all your cabin crew. So, that's one of the things I was always very careful of, to make sure we hadn't exceeded the amount and it was in the right hold.
Yeah. Same thing with us. The thing for us wasn't the flight attendant crew rest facility, because we didn't have that on the airplanes that I flew, but was the live animals that we have up in the forward cargo bin. And you just had to make sure that they didn't put the dry ice up there with the live animals, or if they did have it up there with in the forward bin, that you made sure that you didn't have any live on board, because they wouldn't be at the end of your.
Is forward bin a euphemism for the cockpit, or are you talking about like animals in addition to the crew at the front of the airplane?
Like the cargo bin underneath.
We're just going to need to put this large box up here with you guys for the duration of the flight.
We're going to let you. Oh, look at that cool smoke coming out of it. Nice. It's like Halloween or something.
It's like special effects.
Yeah. It's like a disco up here. All the flashy lights and the dry ice. This is cool.
Remember that for a show title, possibly. I could see a great piece of artwork with that.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
Okay. Thanks, Chris, for sending that in. I'm glad that we had a chance to discuss. Your job is so important, and thank you so much for doing it. And it sounds like you're a very conscientious person, and you have great taste for listening to our show.
Brilliant. I agree.
Let's see. 9 minutes left, really? Okay. Just a quick one from Sam Ashworth, also doubling down on the view from the A350. We had the A350 hit the CRJ 900 in Atlanta, and we were wondering about the view from the tail camera and how you don't see the wingtips from the camera, et cetera. So he kind of confirmed that as well. I think Nigel, on an earlier show, we covered the same sort of thing. I should read this then. He says, I cannot thank you. Oh, you're right, Liz. Dear APG crew, I cannot thank you enough for your podcasts. It kept me in touch with the world of aviation back in 2022 during an involuntary hiatus in my flying career. But that's a story for another day. After the discussions over previous episodes about the visibility from the A350 cockpit camera, I've attached a photo of us being de-iced. Okay, he's a 350 operator. Being de-iced in Frankfurt a few years ago. I can also confirm that the wingtips are visible if you lean towards the side window and crane your neck right around. Doesn't sound very comfortable to me, and you might have to visit your chiropractor if you do. But Sam says, many thanks from Northwest England, and there are nice photos from what he sees as an operator, a pilot of an A350. That's very cool. We have such a great audience.
That is excellent. It is. I had one of those involuntary hiatus problems, but a nice surgeon fixed it for me. Yeah. I had a double hiatus. Sorry, Sam.
You people on the video are missing.
I didn't mean to belittle your hiatus. It's I've been through it myself, So
is a hiatus any better than a low-atus?
I prefer hiatus because the pressure's different. But you can go as low as you like, Jeff.
Well, okay, Nick. I'll keep that in mind next time I see you. Number 10.
Great pictures, by the way. I love your de-icing. Yeah. Which airfield is that? I can't work it out. Frankfurt. Oh, yeah. Okay. Das ist good.
Okay, are we going to end it with number 10, Liz? Okay. We received this feedback from Daniel. He says he's a new fan and a new pilot. Hello, APG crew. Yay. Audience applause you're listening to right now. I recently started tuning into the podcast on my long drives to and from Middle Georgia State University twice a week. I'm currently a student pilot enrolled in the school's aviation program, where I hope to join Delta Propel's college program and eventually fly for Endeavor and later Delta. What do you think my odds are at this point in getting to fly the 757 someday? It's
Hopefully
my favorite
0.
twin-engine airliner out there, but I know they are getting up there in age for a pressurized aircraft. What did I miss? What did Nick say?
He said hopefully 0 on the chances.
Hopefully 0. Come on, Nick. Man.
Sorry, Daniel.
Or I should say old curmudgeon.
HR's keeping notes.
Yeah. Thank you for keeping me sane during my journey. I don't know how that's possible, but you're welcome. I thoroughly enjoy the show, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. So I'm not sure where you commute to get to Middle Georgia State University, but I think that's in Milledgeville, Georgia. In fact, I used to coming in from to Atlanta from the southeast. We would sometimes fly over that lake. I forgot what lake that is, where Milledgeville is located and where Middle Georgia State University is located. So I know exactly where you're talking about. I'm assuming maybe he's living in the Atlanta area, maybe. That would be kind of a long drive to and from. Anyway, good to hear that you're a student pilot enrolled in the aviation program there. And I think that Delta's Lake Sinclair, our staff researched the lake, and it's Lake Sinclair. Thank you. Delta's Propel College program is awesome. I hope that you get into it, and I hope you get on with Endeavor and later Delta Airlines. And as far as the odds flying the 757, it really depends on, I don't know how long your aviation program degree is going to take, and then how long you'd be at Endeavor and everything else. But I have a feeling, I'm not sure exactly what date, but I think the 2030 to 2035, somewhere in there, I think is end of life, at least for Delta. I'm not sure about United and some of the other carriers.
Unless Boeing starts learning how to build airplanes again, the 757 might be flying for a long time.
Well, you're
Very
right.
much so.
That you never know. They might keep extending the life of this thing for quite some time. And good editorial point on your part, Camacho. If Boeing starts learning how to build airplanes again, I have hope and I have confidence that that's going to happen someday. But the 757 is probably one of the best that that company made, and it made a bunch of really, really good ones in the history of their company. Yes, you do need to keep us apprised, Daniel, of your progress in your career, because that's one of the fun things about doing the show. We get to hear people like you who are out there who want to do what we do, and pardon? Or did. Okay, Liz.
Just rub it in, Liz.
Wow. She's becoming the Miss Curmudgeon.
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when I was a younger man, I used to fly the Boeing 727, which was 30 before the
back in the dawn of aviation. And you see, I'd like to know also why he thinks the 757 is his favorite twin-engine airliner.
Because it's sexy.
Well,
he may not think it's sexy. You see, that's the sort of question you're going to get in your psych eval, Daniel. So, you've got to be careful about what your favorite airplane is, because people might want to mark you down if you say 757.
Don't ever say, if a psychologist asks you, that you think that the Airbus is the sexiest airplane out there.
Oh, it's not sexy, but it's damn safe.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's a bit like the Volvo advert.
I'll say, are you going to continue on a little bit more, Nick, or is that it?
No, that was it. I'm thinking of a movie now with the guy that always told the truth, and he was writing the Volvo advert, which was like boxy
Jim Carrey?
but safe.
Yeah, that was a great movie, actually. So I was going to say before we go on to the wrap up here, that there are some, I used to say years ago, if you'd asked me if I had any regrets in my life, and I say, absolutely not. But now I do have actually a few, but no, not the podcast. That's one of the good things in my life. But and my friends that I do the podcast with, they're one of the best things in my life. But and my audience or our audience. But I was going to say that if I could do this particular thing over again, instead of when I was when they retired the Mad Dog and I made the decision to go fly the 717, which I thought was a very clever decision, and it turns out that that was not the right one. I should have gone to the Boeing 757-767, and I could have flown that beautiful 757 my last 3-4 years of my career. And I was kind of planning to do that years ago, and for some reason, I don't know, I had a brain block or something, and I didn't do that. And I do regret not having the chance to pilot that wonderful airplane. So, for whatever that's worth, Daniel, I think that it's exciting that you think it's a great airplane, even though there are some members of our panel.
Members? You mean more than me?
That's what I was thinking.
To be absolutely truthful, I when I was trying to get into airlines, I managed to get a supernumerary ride on a 757, and it was some holiday charter outfit, but I knew the skipper, and so I sat in the back, and he flew this thing out to on a very long trip out into holiday destinations somewhere, and that crew just loved it. They loved flying it. They said it was one of the nicest airplanes they'd ever flown. It was beautifully overpowered, handled sweetly. It was nice, a good, fun airplane to fly, which considering they were sort of, off Air Force fighter pilots in their past life, that was some compliment. So, yeah.
They said it was really, or they say and have said, that it's like a little rocket, and you can be fully loaded and you go all the way up to the highest cruise altitude that you want to go to. Pretty impressive airplane. I've only ridden in the jump seat on the airplane, and from what I've seen from that angle, I've been impressed. And as I said, I regret that I never got a chance to fly it, but oh well, that's life sometimes. So let's wrap this baby up by pointing you over to the airlinepilotguy.com website, where there's all sorts of information, some of it accurate, most of it not, about the crew and the community and plane tales. That's especially one of the ones where you got to be really careful about, take with a grain of salt. And just kidding. A lot more information about each of the wonderful tales that the old pilot spins. And we're on social media as well. Social media's
we are. I can't guarantee more than 50% accuracy there either. But if you'd like to, head over to facebook.com/airlinepilotguy or check out X. We are at APG Crew, and you'll find our individual handles pinned to the top of that page. We're also on Instagram, instagram.com/APG Crew, a great place to see Captain Nick's weekly show artwork and search for the show number and the logo wherever he has hidden it. If you'd like to get in to watch these live recordings, the video version, or join our live audience during the recordings, head over to YouTube, youtube.com/@airlinepilotguy/streams. And if that's not enough, I don't know, I'm sure Hillel has found his way to the...
you want?
No, I'm sorry. I suddenly had Jeff's gold member and the streams bit in go flash through my head, It
kind of concerns me that Nick is thinking about my gold member, but all right.
I would like to ask Hillel to save this conversation at the moment and jump in to tell us about Slack.
Hello.
Are you washing your gold member?
I was going to say, how far have we stooped when we need a naked guy in the bathroom to salvage a conversation?
Welcome to APG.
Thank you. Could you tell us about Slack, please? Please help us.
APG listeners, please join us on our Slack team. Slack is a communication, coordination, and sharing platform that works on your mobile, laptop, or browser. On Slack, we share news and ideas. We suggest episode and plain tales topics. We plan events and meetups. To get into the Slack team, please email me at slack@airlinepilotguy.com. That's SLACK, Sierra Lima Alpha Charlie Kilo @airlinepilotguy.com. Or send me a tweet with your preferred email address to @Hillel, and I'll send you an invitation. That's Hillel, spelled Hotel India 11 Echo 1, and see you in Slack.
Thanks a lot, Hillel. What are you doing? Why are you walking over here to me?
Excuse me while I whip this out.
All right. Thank you.
Perfect use of
That's a-
your.
It's a good a
That
good
Hillel. He's something.
Yeah.
All right. And also,
Something.
we'd like to thank our producer, Liz, for all
Hey,
the hard
Liz,
work that
well
she
done.
does
Don't
behind
blame
the
me
scenes.
for this. Don't blame
Yeah,
me.
if you have any troubles or problems with anything that we said on this show or any show in the past, please contact Liz at airlinepilotguy.com and she'll straighten you all out. No, don't put
I'm
any,
offended. Also works.
or I'm offended. at
You can't
Actually-
point to me. I'm too
Great
far
show.
away.
Thanks for making time during Thanksgiving. You
Yes,
and
thank you,
Mark.
everyone. Those listening and those participating as hosts and those in our live audience who took the time out on a Black Friday, passing up all those great deals that you can. I guess you really don't need to go out anymore, though, do you? You just
No.
go
I've
get your
been
computer.
Amazon. Works great.
Amazon.
You've been shopping during the
heard-
show?
Only for a new cable for this one doesn't want to work anymore. I've been holding it
Oh.
together. I know. So I did purchase one of those during the show. Yes.
Well,
I heard
that's-
some
that-
crazy number yesterday on the radio about this is like Amazon's biggest day of the year and how much money that comes in. I mean, billions of dollars that come
Oh,
in.
yeah. I'm sure.
That's just incredible to me. Incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, wrap it up.
yeah. So it's time now for us to wrap up the show. Thanks so much for listening and telling your friends. And until next time, we're wishing you clear skies, unlimited visibility, and tailwinds. Take care and God bless.
Cheers, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
See you next time.
Ta-da!
Okay, yee-hoo.
Ta-da.
That's
Oh,
what
Nick,
modems
I've
are.
got
They're just a bunch of garbage.
Well, we need to have that for Notox as well now.
No
All right, and we
talks.
need to have it for that's what APG is. It's just a bunch
It's
of
a bunch of
garbage.
garbage.
Yes.
See if you can
Oh.
hire Robert Sumwalt to do
I
it.
need to contact him. Could you
Mhm.
do me a favor?
So-
Yeah,
so-
Record
exactly
something for
right.
us.
So, Nick, I've got a bunch of suggestions for you. Okay, so
Okay.
Micah has in the chat room 132 hamster power.
Yeah, I've already
Yep,
written that down,
right.
actually. 132 hamster powered wheelchair.
Oh, that's even better. Turkey bomb. The turkey bomb.
I've got tossing turkeys
Okay, tossing
because
turkey.
Nick laughed really hard
Well,
at that. It has a different
I need to keep
double-
it clean, don't I?
Clean here.
tossing
Nobody's gonna
turkeys.
What
nobody's
is the
gonna think
dirty-
anything weird about that here.
What does tossing
Oh.
turkeys mean in a dirty way?
After the show, we'll tell you
Later.
after the
Later.
show.
Okay, well, after we
Well,
are off.
has
here.
anyone ever called you a tosser?
No.
No.
Okay, use your imagination.
Okay.
Okay.
I've got two based on the Kennedy thing. Proper check-in, please, and controller manners. I don't know. if Those are any good. The hamster one. I also had hamsters run free, like they freed themselves from captivity.
Okay.
Born free.
And then also Disco Airlines. So we're up there with
Yeah.
the dried ice, Disco Airlines.
Dry ice and disco lights.
I've got disco in the cockpit, but
Okay.
yep, dry ice and lights.
With the dry
Good, good.
ice. Oh, man.
And I think that's it.
Oh, that's
Who could
fine.
want
I-
more?
and red vehicles.
Oh, red vehicles, yeah.
Oh, look,
Oh.
our whole boxes managed
I know.
to show up at the last second.
I know.
Way
It
to
must-
way to be on time.
Way
He's
to
probably
go.
got that time zone thing that Rick has.
He's probably working. Like,
But thanks for trying
Most
to
people.
join us anyway. We
Yeah.
appreciate it. I love iHelpbox.
Hi, I hope.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love everybody here.
I do
Everyone.
too.
Everyone of
Everybody.
you. Thank you so
How
much.
much have you had to drink?
iHelpboxes will send.
I've only had half of this beer.
iHelpbox is going to
Wow.
send in show titles after he watches the video. He is working.
Good one.
Yes.
Good one. I won't be doing anything till tomorrow morning, so
He is
feel
working.
free.
There we go.
All right,
I'm glad that
everybody.
we have
Good man.
you people out there
I
working.
think Nick Camacho particularly has things to do, and Steffi. So
Okay.
we'll
Well, then we'll have our post-show briefing very shortly here.
Okay.
We'll say goodbye to everybody
Bye,
and our live
everybody.
audience.
Cheers,
Thanks
everyone.
so much.
Yeah, thanks for pitching up.